communication is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Sharing the love, spreading the light in real time. Friday night love stream.
Very happy to have a guy we instantly resonated with. Unbiased and on the fence. I'm talking about Shane C. Robinson. And his purpose is to rise above the worldviews that are designed to separate us so we can unite as one.
Sometimes you have to sort of take a step back, and I think Unbiased and on the Fence is a really, really good title for your show, because you are in the central point when you're unbiased and on the fence. That's what it means. It doesn't mean you're indecisive. It means you are taking the central point and you're seeing the multiple perspectives.
Unbiased and on the fence.
If you haven't checked Unbiased on the Fence, go and check his channel out. You might like it.
From Unbiased on the Fence, Shane.
If this much sincerity enters your life, come to this much. What I know, I know. What I do not know, I do not know. I don't believe anything, I don't disbelieve anything. I'm willing to look at everything. You will become a sensible human being.
Have you checked out our website?
Visit us on the web at uotf.net. You're listening to The Love Stream.
All around the world in real time.
I want to thank you for watching, listening, liking, subscribing, and for those who support this channel financially. Thank you. Lots of love and light to everyone out there.
Your calls, your stories, on air. You're listening to The Love Stream.
Sharing the love and spreading the light all around the world. This is Unbiased and on the Fence.
Unbiased and on the fence.
Indeed it is. Of course, this is Shane, and it's funny, Polar Bear, I saw you put Dolly, and I'm like, oh, is she in here? And then I realized you're talking about the soundbite. Yep, I'm surprised you recognize the voice. That is Dolly Daydream. And, yeah, Dolly Daydream, I should say. So thank you all for joining. Phone lines are wide open. Let's see. I would like to thank Dr. Rick Strassman for coming on. That was exciting. And maybe we'll have Chris call back in. We cut off right in the middle of our show earlier in the week, and right when he was talking about breathing, it was actually getting pretty interesting. But I guess that's just how it works, isn't it? Get cut off at the good part. So, how's everyone feeling? Do you have any kind of weird symptoms or anything going on with you guys? Let me look, and haven't checked the Schumann the later part of today to see if it's done anything funny. Ooh, had a weird spike today, it looks like. A couple of spikes 12 hours ago or so. Maybe 18 hours ago. See how interesting times we live in. Weather's just been going up and down all around. Let's see. All right. Do we have any topics while we wait for a caller? Let me get back to the screen. Make sure I don't miss anybody calling in. No, I just looked. It was running for 4 minutes and 44 seconds on the call-in show, or call-in website. I started it right before I started this one. That's interesting. It's the way you're just drawn to those synchronicities. And I've been getting them several a day. It's weird because earlier today I had noticed it was 123, 123. And then a little bit later I was wondering what time it was, and I asked my son, I'm like, hey, what time is it? And he's like, 321. I'm like, oh, I just got 123 a little bit ago. It's so funny how that happens so much. I was just sitting here thinking there's probably synchronicity around somewhere I'm missing. It seems like whenever you talk about it, it happens too. Let's see. Topics. Oh, that's nice. April. April with a kitty named Gaia. I haven't had any ear ringing for a couple of days, but I did a few days ago. I thought, hey, am I getting a download? What's going on with that? Just hard to tell sometimes. Do you have Dustin in here? He said he had some interesting stories to talk about. He's probably working. That's funny, Ronnie. Ronnie says she's too pooped to talk tonight. Someone else has the call first. All right, we have a caller, or maybe a caller if they raise their hand. I don't know if they're just listening. No one has their hand up just yet. *2 to raise your hand, and I'll know you want to talk. Let's see. All righty, let's go to the phone lines. 209 area code. You're live. Who am I talking to?
Olivia Luke.
Hey, Olivia. How are you?
Good. How are you, Shane?
Doing pretty good. I feel a lot like I feel like a lot like Ronnie, where I'm like sort of pooped, and I'm like, oh gosh, what am I going to talk about if somebody doesn't call in? You know, I hadn't really prepared anything. So, thank you for saving the day.
Hi, everybody. Can't see the chat, but I love you all.
So, where are you calling from, Olivia?
I'm calling from California, Mariposa. Well,
Nice.
Coulterville, California.
Have you been affected by these fires out there at all?
Oh, yeah.
Darkening the sky?
I'm up here in a rural, it's a pretty rural area. So and my sister works for CAL FIRE. I did work for CAL FIRE for a while. And so we kind of got a good idea of how it runs around here. The CAL FIRE guys are amazing, but whenever it comes to federal, you know, they have different rules.
Right. Is that your phone buzzing on you?
Yeah, it's my brother.
Oh, he heard you live.
He wants to go.
I'm just playing.
He wants to go rappelling and hunting for gold, and I'm all for it, but I got a toothache, so I can't do it.
It'd be worth it if you find some, right?
Oh, he's finding some.
Oh, really?
You know, he's watching that mud fossil. Yeah, he's watching that mud fossil guy, and he's, you know, scouring Google Maps, and it's pretty interesting, honestly. We're up here in gold country, so, you know, this is where one of the gold rushes were.
Oh, that's interesting. So I guess the Anunnaki never made it there, huh? If you believe the legends.
I don't know. Probably. They probably did.
Left some scraps, I guess.
I hear there are some. Yeah, I heard there are some giants on some Table Mountain right here in Tuolumne County, but I haven't been able to go check it out myself. So it's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm hanging in there. I'm doing pretty good today. A little sleepy, I guess, but other than that, I'm doing pretty good, I guess. Can't complain. Can always be worse, I feel like, you know.
I love your show. I love the people. You guys are awesome.
We are awesome. You're part of the group.
I love being part.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, whenever people say that, they're like, I love your group. I'm like, wait, it's not my group. You know, we're like, it's our group.
But it is.
Nah, it's really
Without
not.
you, you bring it together, man.
Well, I appreciate that, but I don't want it to sound too much like we're drinking Kool-Aid here. You know what I mean?
But we are.
That's funny. Yeah, so what is the fire thing? What's the fire situation been like? I mean, you're kind of in the area, so I mean, how crazy? What's your thoughts on that and everything? Or would you rather not talk about it?
Well, no, I love talking about all kinds of shit.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
But it is kind of iffy, you know. You got to question what's going on, but you know, we got a lot of movement with our plates and everything, and you don't know if it's coming from up underneath. It's kind of weird how the trees don't burn and all the houses burn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have a program that it's called the Wildland Project. Of course, I can't find it now that I start talking about it.
Right.
It's called the Wildland Project. It's all over the United States. I don't doubt that it's other places. But what they want to do is they want to, you know, it's Agenda 2030 now. They want to put us in crappy high rises that they don't take care of so they can do whatever they want to our land. And we won't be able to see. That's the impression I get. Governor Brown is a creep. Oh, my God.
What's that? He's what?
He's a creep.
Oh, a creep? Oh, I thought you were about to say he's a great something. I'm like, great what?
No. Great liar.
He's a great creep. Huh?
Great cheat, you know. Oh my gosh. They made everybody pay for fire tax. And then it was illegal, so now they're supposed to return it, but it's not getting returned. You know, it's just our politicians, they think they own everything.
Yeah, it's hard not to have all the corruption in politics the way it's set up.
It's a big name game, isn't it? We got some guy over here. What is his name? Can't remember his name. Of course, I'm nervous because I'm on the phone.
Oh, you sound totally relaxed. Well, people think I sound totally relaxed, though. I'm like over here biting my nails.
You do.
I'm just kidding. I'm like usually like really nervous right beforehand, and then once it starts, I'm totally cool. So I don't know. It's weird. I've always been like that.
Yeah, you can't think about it.
Yeah.
It's like going on stage, right?
Yeah, exactly. So as far as what do you think? Do you buy the official story with these fires, or do you think it's something more going on there? You're speechless? Did I lose you? Hello? Hello? Did you bump your mute button, maybe? It looks like we're still connected. But I cannot hear you if you can hear me. Maybe somebody didn't like what she was about to say, huh? Maybe we should have picked a more, I don't know, what's the word for it? Benign topic to discuss. Like, look, all right.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go. There you are.
All right.
Did
I don't know what happened.
I think the cabal shut you down for a second there. What were you about to say? I'm just playing. You never know.
Well, I think there's a lot, especially in these small communities. Yeah, I could say a lot of stuff. They found, I'm in between two lakes.
Mm-hmm.
So they found, and I was told it was in the news, it was the Russian mob, but they found bodies off of, into the lake, they'd just been dropped off the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
There's all kinds of, this is a small county, and they've been in charge for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, me and my wife were just talking about that last night. We used to live by this like reservoir it's like a little pond or whatever. And it seemed so nice when we were over there, and then they found that somebody had driven a car in there with a body in it, and it just changed your whole perspective of the area. It wasn't so peaceful to go and stand by the pond over there anymore, knowing that there had been a couple of bodies that were pulled out of there. I mean, it's hard to forget something like that and then just carry on. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what? We have a responsibility, though, to each other, and we have to say what's true. I'm not going to be a liar.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
totally.
There's all kinds of corruption.
Oh,
Everybody knows. You can't listen to a politician. They're all hogwashers.
Yeah. You kind of got to be to get in the position, it seems like, doesn't it?
Yeah, the fires are pretty scary, though. I tell you what, they get big.
Yeah.
The last one was a Ferguson fire that was near us. They turned away air support the very first day. We had a dozer guy flip over and die, and I knew his dad, so it was a personal problem. I definitely had a personal problem with it. And, I'm stupid. They couldn't bring it in. It was too deep of a ravine. But they can go up there, and they know how to protect those sequoias.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. It's a money basket, You have to use the budget and exceed your budget for you to get more money next year. And honestly, fire is a very small part of the budget. Education is a huge part of our budget, and of course our our military, our defense.
Do you think how much of the information coming out do you think is a lie? Because I heard somebody talking about, the total deaths are a lie. And then I kind of thought about how they funnel those numbers through, and they don't really, it seems like they all rely on official sources for those. So, I mean, it would, I guess, potentially, I have to be careful how I word things, potentially be easy to manipulate that, allegedly.
It is.
Out there on all of those words to cast doubt on what I'm saying. But, it does seem like it would be easy to, I mean, if they're just going to a single source, like, what's the number now? How many's missing? How many have died? And, and then, the reporters have to go to a source.
Yeah, you can't believe it. The way I figure it is I can't believe anything unless I know somebody who's right there and sees it, or somebody brings me that information, or I see it physically myself. Yeah. So that's why we all got to bunch together, right? So we know what the truth is.
Mm-hmm. Well, are people on the ground there in an outrage more than what we're... Well, I don't really watch the news, but, it tends to make it into YouTube channels. If there were an outrage of people that, somebody would have picked it up that I watch, I would think, and would have talked about it a little bit at least.
Well, I think the people just feel helpless, I mean, you have people that lost their houses and are homeless in the valley. It's horrible. We got a 20% homeless population in California.
Yeah.
It's shameful. But these people don't even have a bathroom to use. It pisses me off so bad.
Yeah.
There's no human dignity. But they're trying to run us out of California, I think.
Why do you think that is?
I think they're going to make it one big Disneyland. Or that's what they want. They're trying to do that high-speed rail and millions of dollars. They got to take these people that could be one of the reasons. It just happens to be along that high-speed rail line that these houses are burning down out of the blue. And when did it start? When did that last fire? Come on. We have moisture.
I did see a map where they were showing the comparisons of it, and one was zoomed in a little bit more than the other. Now, I'm not saying that's not what they're doing, but it did seem like whoever put that comparison video out purposely sort of lined them up to look more similar than what they were. I mean, that still could be the case.
Maybe.
But I also saw someone else show the fault line, and it was also right along the fault line. I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. Why would
it is.
So, gosh, there's so many different perspectives. Yeah.
Yeah, because you got uranium mines all the way up in Washington, all the way down to Texas. You got what is that big super volcano? I can't think of it. Our big super volcano.
I'm not sure. Mount Rainier or...
No, our...
in California? Oh, yeah, Yellowstone.
No.
Okay.
No, we got Yellowstone. I'm just looking at kind of a whole picture.
Yeah.
You got stuff going on in Oklahoma, and I believe right there at the top there's some kind of uranium mine at the top of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just following Randall Carlson, and he, makes questions, so I get curious and try to control my mind and my thoughts. So that's why I love to learn.
Yeah. Is that...
I don't get depressed, and,
Is he a YouTuber, Randall Carlson?
Yeah, he is. He's doing that Geo Rex or something like that.
His name is the channel name? Randall Carlson?
I think it's Geo Rex, something like that.
I might have seen him before. It just the name sounds kind of familiar, but I just can't put my finger on it. I watch so many different things, and I miss a lot because of it.
I'm sure.
You try to take so much in that you end up missing stuff.
Yeah, he's trying to figure out, why the flood happened and what happened because we have all this scab land up in, Montana or something like that. But he's trying to work out, where the big flood happened and watch the geology. He's really smart, really, and he gets into all the numbers and what is that stuff called?
Just the statistics, or?
Well, no, the ancient. What is that? You know, it's like gematria.
gematria, yeah.
I don't know if it's gematria or it's the other numbers.
Hmm.
You know, it's
numerology. I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about?
Not numerology or gematria. I can't. I'm drawing a blank.
No.
Somebody else in the chat shout it out. That's what I love having. It's like a think tank here. You know, if I can't think of something,
I know. I love it.
somebody will. It's beautiful.
So we got Scabland all the way up into Canada, and Uranium City is right above the Scabland. So and they just found that crater over Greenland, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to Wayne Herschel. And he's talking about how Atlantis going under. But they're showing the meteor came in and pretty much decimated the whole north.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what caused the big flood.
Ah.
And the only place that I could find that uranium comes from is meteors. So you got to wonder, you know, if it didn't just all slide down as it melted.
Right.
It almost looks like a big compost pile. Yellowstone does, if you look at it from a distance.
Right, I know what you're saying. That's a funny thought, though.
So I don't know if it's just changes and it's coming up from underneath the ground, some volcanic activity, and we really are going to drop off into the ocean. I have no idea.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the things I thought about is that maybe, well, there was two theories. One was that they were purposely trying to weaken the land there, like by burning out, you know, roots and things that are holding the land together. But, I didn't really know about that because it seems like you'd have to go really deep to really affect seismic and plate activity, you know, as far as burning something on the surface. But someone else said that it could be the fire starting from beneath because it's the seismic area, that there was something called ground lightning that could occur from the friction of the plates.
Thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that one tree was burning from the inside out. And a laser, I don't think a laser does that.
Yeah, I don't know. That is weird.
A laser would burn the outside before it got into the inside, unless it was a microwave, right? And then it would go inside out.
That's true, and it definitely could be microwaves. Because that focuses, like your microwave oven focuses on the moisture and heats it up.
Right.
But, yeah, I don't know.
There's been a lot of static in the air for months now, and I don't know if that's got something to do with our Schumann resonance or what the heck is going on. But
so many possibilities. I try not to
thing.
get tunnel vision with it because it's, I don't know. Often it's they'll put out information to lead you down the wrong track, and then you sort of miss what it really is because you get so sure of what it is. So I don't know. I just try to stay open and consider everything.
They're always trying to lead us.
Mm-hmm.
We can't be led anymore.
Right. And that's what the news is good for. You can tune it in and you're like, okay, well, it's probably not this.
If they're saying it's Russia's fault,
right.
They have been since I was in kindergarten.
Right.
And I'm 65. I was born. So kindergarten was what, 70? So I can't be afraid of the Russians.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're
whole
people
Russia.
just like us. I don't get my gun out when I have a problem with my neighbor.
Right.
I just let him scream at me, and I tell him, have a good day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really all you can do.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Looks like wait a minute, 661, is that, I think that's California too, isn't it?
I don't know.
Area code.
The area code, there's a lot of area codes in California.
Oh,
but hey, I don't want to take up all your time.
Oh, no, I really appreciate you. I see you in the chat all the time, so it was a pleasure actually getting to speak with you, Olivia. That's awesome.
It's great to talk to you, Shane.
All right, lots of love to you. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, thanks for everything you do. Love you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Let's go.
You're listening to The Love Stream.
Unbiased and on the fence.
Awesome. We're going to go back to the phone line, 661 area code. Who am I talking to?
Hello, Shane. It's Michelle. And yes, your geography and your prefixes on phone numbers, you're getting really good at that because I am in California.
Awesome. Yeah, actually, zip codes are much easier than area codes because they're kind of all over the place. So
Yeah,
how close are
yeah,
you,
I
Michelle's
agree.
opinions, to the fires? And have you been smelling the smoke?
No. And all that was going on while we were actually on our trip. And then when we got back to the port, everything, it was clear and everything. But as we were driving home, it's about a 4-hour drive from the port to get home. And now I saw, like the sky looked hazy, like smoky, but we actually did not see any of the fires or anything, going at that time. And we drove right through the mountain range where we're supposed to be. So I don't know. We didn't actually see any fires, but we did see smoke. But yeah, that's kind of odd. Hang on. Of course, if you're hearing beeping, that's somebody trying to call in. That's how it works, isn't it? I consider you're on hold, no calls, and then you call me on and beep beep. I hope you guys aren't hearing that.
No, can't
but
hear
I
the
wanted
beep.
to share. Oh, good. I wanted to share that when we were out on this trip, we're out in the middle of the ocean. It was a completely different feeling. Even when we went to the location when we were in Hawaii, it wasn't. And then
Wait,
when
it wasn't
we
as
got
what?
back to the
It cut out. You said it wasn't as what?
yes, that freaking phone beeping. It wasn't as intense, like the frequencies that we feel, like our ears ringing and all of that stuff going on. Sometimes I can hear like 3 tones at a time. But right when we got back to Los Angeles, I mean, immediately I could hear my ears were ringing. I could feel those frequencies. And I asked my husband, I'm like, what the heck? Do you feel it too? And he's like, yes. So when we were out in the middle of the ocean, now the ship has its own satellite, but they only have the one. If you want to use the internet or whatever, you pay for it, and we completely unplugged for that whole duration. No phones, no internet, no nothing. But so they have their own, so that was just a one frequency. And that didn't do anything. Like, it didn't have the impact. But right when we got back, it was intense. I was like, wow, So just thinking that we're bombarded with all of these, which we can't see, they're frequencies in the air and our airwaves, that we're being bombarded by them, and how our brain works, it fires off signals. And I don't know. I the jury's still out on how this impacts us physically, emotionally, mentally. But I can tell you that we felt there was a tangible difference from when we were out at sea to when we hit the port in Los Angeles. So that's food for thought. But on
Sure is. Yeah, I'm thinking
more
it's like
uplifting note, because this is a love stream, check this out. I can't believe this. Okay. When we planned the trip was planned and paid for even long before I even started making content on YouTube. It was for my 50th birthday. It was a gift from my husband. Well, my mom and dad came along, and my brother and my sister-in-law. It was a lot of fun. Well, when we got on the ship, we had what they call ship credit. It was part of the package. And then, of course, if anyone's ever been on a trip like that, all the food and entertainment and everything's all included. I mean, there's no expense for that. Now, there's certain restaurants you could go to if you want to pay a little extra. Well, they gave us this ship credit, and it ended up being like $900. It was $450 for me and $450 for my husband, which that's a lot of money. And we could spend it in the shops or, whatever. So pretty much the trip, I was thinking, oh, my gosh, I got to come up with this money, to go on this trip, plus the doctor's telling me I'm needing to go have these other things going on, which I'm still in denial about that. that we'll save for another time because I haven't seen him since I've been back, and I'm trying to duck that out because it is getting better. But then when I come home, I have I've been in a couple of accidents, which you're aware of, and I have to pick up these medications that have to be written out on a piece of paper every month, and I have to turn them into the pharmacy. They run between $175 to $200 a month. Well, and I mean, you know, this has been going on for over 10 years, so I have to have those funds in the budget. I went to pick up the medications after the trip, and when I went through the drive-thru, pick them up, I threw my card in there to pay for them. They came up at zero balance. All goose eggs. I owed nothing. I was like,
did the insurance pick it up or something?
That's what they're trying to say, but my insurance sent me a letter saying that one of the medications, since it has to be brand, is $150 by itself, just one of them.
Oh, wow.
And then there's two other ones. So, you know, I'm thinking when I started a promotion several months ago, and I know a lot of people have forgotten about it and think maybe I've forgotten about it because, you know, a lot of things have transpired and there's a lot going on with all of us. But I hadn't forgot, and I really wanted to do it at the beginning of December because I think that's a good time, and maybe it could help somebody's Christmas be a little better, or I wanted to do this. And like all the doors were opened for me to be able to go forward with that. And I was shocked, just shocked. So we talk about intention a lot, and our intention being pure and authentic. Mm-hmm. If your heart is in it, things just kind of open up for you. And I mean, when it was goose eggs, when I was at the pharmacy, I was literally shocked. I came home, woke my husband up because he works nights, because I had to show it to him because I couldn't believe it. I needed some kind of other eyes to look at it. That look, I can't believe this, and he was shocked too. I have not gotten a phone call from the pharmacy saying we've made a mistake. You need to come back and pay for it.
You're still like that is.
I know. I'm like, oh my gosh. Now I'm not going to be surprised if after this all transpires, when I go this month, if it goes back to the normal, because it's been that way for over 10 years. So for this month, for it to just all come up with zero due on all, I was like, oh my gosh. It's amazing and it's wonderful because it's from the pure intention. It freed it up for me to go forward with the plans, with the divine timing and everything to just line up. Even with being on the ship, having the ship credit. I mean, everything just kind of like went duck, 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 all my little dots, mm-hmm. Got lined up in a row. And the physical thing, which I don't want to really get on air about that you know about. I told you a little bit about it, but that, seems to be shrinking. And when I see my doctor, I think he's going to have a different opinion on what he was thinking before. So I think that's going to line out just right too. So with our intentions and with our heart, I mean, there's just, we're limitless. And so I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
And amazed. Just like the doors opening up for you to go to Sedona.
Yeah.
You really wanted to go. Your intentions were pure, and that door was open to you.
Yeah, and I just started scheduling the whole Austin, Texas thing, and I was like, I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I know it's going to work out, and I haven't worried one bit about it. I'm like, it'll work out. I'll get there, and things have been falling into place, and it's going to be a big blast, which is a great segue into anyone who hasn't heard that we're getting together New Year's Eve, the weekend before Saturday through Tuesday. We're getting together for New Year's together in Austin, Texas. So if you are in that area and you want to join us, send me an email. You can reach me through the website, eotf.net, or through my email address, which is also on the website under contact. And just send me an email and put Austin in the subject line, and I will include you with the information, because we are getting closer, and I know people might not have heard about that. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Absolutely. The meet and greets, I think, would be wonderful. I did send you an email because of you had brought that up before, but so I'll get with you on that. And for the people that are on this side, for us all come together, it would be, wonderful. But I need to, how California is, I need to get the permits, and because I'd want us to all meet at a park, maybe do like a picnic thing where it's family friendly and make a day of it. So,
yeah, definitely.
It would be amazing to meet up with everybody, and because there's so much going on, and it's, so much is opening up in everybody. Each of us, are walking into our gifts and becoming self-aware, knowing what we're able to do. And you're right, you turn on the news and you're like, yeah, okay, now I know what not to believe. When you said that to Olivia, I started cracking up like that. I was thinking, and I hope I'm on mute, because I am just besting up, because that's exactly how I look at it. Is, well, they're telling us this, well, then it's, they're wanting us to look over here, so we need to be looking over there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's strange that it's come to that, but they've lied so much that it's like, all right, this is probably a lie, so I should probably, look over there since they want me to look here. That's a perfect analogy. It's like the old magician trick.
Yeah, everything they told us to don't touch, don't look at, those have all been, major factors in helping us to discover who and what each of us are. The elect and the chosen and all of that. That's just rubbish. That's a dividing way. That's the way to divide people. You remember seeing? I've seen this on several different places, but there's an image and they show like a sleeping giant, like in a mountain, like the giant is in a mountain. I think they draw the image of the giant, is in this huge mountain, like a sleeping giant. I look at that and I think, that's us. And as soon as we all awaken and realize, our sovereignty, our God-given abilities, and that these things are all within our own God-given abilities from birth that kind of got squeezed out of us, when we awaken to that, there will be no stopping it. We could change this place overnight.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just going to happen. It's just a matter of we're going through the process right now, which can be very difficult, because sometimes we want to cleave to things that, that we were brought up with. It's hard to deprogram something that's been, like you all know now, I'm 50, 50 years of programming. Well, this actually started 18 years ago, so that just kind of tells you it was a slow process to get rid of all that nonsense. And, everything they're telling me that I can't touch, I'm exploring it now, and it broadens the perspective that much more, and it allows that much more growth, at least, And another thing, when you try to brow bash people, if you don't, say this and say this prayer, you're going to go to hell. Mm-hmm. That tactic is not working anymore. We're seeing past that. You can't force people into your way of thinking. It's like people put themselves on the throne of God as the judge and think that their way is the only way, where, as I've been exploring and observing and experiencing that the narrow path that Christ talks about, it is so narrow because we're the only ones on it. It's designed uniquely, for each one of us to walk out and seek out and go through what we're going through. that actually doesn't minimize a Godhead. It actually shows, the majesty of a Godhead that can be involved in each and every single one of us so uniquely and so personally. I mean, wow. I mean, that puts the woo-woo wow factor into, the great creator of this magnificent place.
Definitely. And that's wonderful that you got this great report. And you know what? I would tell you to just keep believing it's going to be taken care of every month. I mean, you've manifested it this time. No need to think that you can't do it again next month,
Absolutely. And then the funds go out to people that need it, If somebody is down and out, or, they just lost their job, or sometimes the world can be cruel. But if we come together, then, we may not be able to do much by ourselves, but the more we come together in this, the more we could do to help each other out when somebody ends up into a pinch. I'm not talking about supporting somebody monthly, I'm saying, like, they just lost their job, their bills are due, and then you help them out, get them on their feet, brush them off, and then so that way they can, not get so depressed or so concerned that starts to consume them and take them off their path, so that way they're taken care of and they can go get the job, and by next month everything's smooth sailing again. So it is important that we help each other out, so that way, like with your platform, I'm sure that there's a lot of people that you help out, but the right hand never lets the left hand know what it's doing,
Yeah.
Just keep it secret, but that's the way it's supposed to be. Yeah. But I just I just couldn't believe how things worked out, which, goes along with intention and heart-centered and, believing. And I did want to also touch on, with the fires and the frequencies, on the difference that we felt when we hit the port. And did you see the pictures that they were showing where, like, the houses are gone, but the trees are still there?
Yeah, that is really weird.
It's odd. And Olivia brought up a good point. They're wanting to have this high-speed railway. And all of the houses, or that were, like, in the way, so to speak, seem to be the ones that are no longer there. Yeah. Just food for thought. I'm not trying to put negativity out there. I'm just trying to, we just kind of need to look at things from all perspectives, and so we can see the big picture. It doesn't hurt. There is darkness and there is light, and we can't have good, authentic experiences of a higher high without, experiencing some low lows.
Yeah. So, I don't mind, because I want to be the hero, so I can't do that without there being some villains out there. So,
right. Well, you know what? You already are the hero. You're the hero of your own life.
Yeah, which we all should be.
And that's the yes, we are all the hero of and those that are stepping forward and putting out platforms like this, they have no idea what goes on in the background of what we go through. I'm pretty new, and I can only imagine with the length of time of the things that you've dealt with, that you just don't allow it to affect you, and you just keep pressing forward. And, I respect you so much for that, from seeing the other side of the coin. People just don't know until they see the other side.
Yeah, and I don't talk about it ever. So it's like,
yeah, well,
where attention goes.
No need. There's
energy
people
flows.
that know. I know. So you are a hero, whether, in your own life, but a hero for shining the light the way that you do. So, yeah, you're one that keeps me pressing forward. I'm like, oh, yeah, I know if I'm dealing with this, I know he did, and he's still smiling. So we can do this. We can do this, and the more of us that start talking about it, will be the normal instead of the fringe.
Totally. Yeah, and keep doing what you're doing too, Michelle.
Well, thank you, Shane. And yeah, I'm going to be doing, I haven't been live in a while, but thank goodness, writing all those raffle tickets out for the live streams and everything. My gosh, I'm getting writer's cramp. But I'm going to tell you, there's some people with some really good odds because, wherever I saw their name, they went in that many times. So although it's a lot of tickets, a lot of them are, repeat people. So, yeah, there's really good odds. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you make it to it. I'll announce it before so people will all be able to come and gather because, who doesn't like to win a prize? Who doesn't, it's fun, and we need to have fun. Life is fun. We should have a good time.
Yes, it is exciting times we live in.
It is. It's eye-opening, and my gosh, I don't know. It's a pretty exciting time, and you can see where we're heading. It's just the part of it is the journey. I mean, I feel blessed in that we're able to see both sides of it. Mm-hmm. We've experienced the one side, and now we're going through this transition. So we're, getting to go through it firsthand rather than being born on the other side where that's the normal now. We're actually going through it and have the experiences. So there's no better time to be alive than right now in the thick of it.
I couldn't agree more. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Michelle. Always nice hearing from you.
Well, you keep on trucking along, and I love your live call-in shows. They're so much fun. So I'm going to go back into chatting and listening to people. So be blessed always, as you are a blessing to all of us.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Your calls, your stories, on air. You're listening to the Love Stream.
Sharing the love and spreading the light all around the world. This is Unbiased and On the Fence.
Awesome. We do have a couple of people hanging out in the lobby, but you don't have your hands up. I thought hands were up, but anyway, *2 if you do want to talk. And yeah, Michelle's right. We can get a lot of flack sometimes, but let's see here. Going to go back to 505 area code. Who am I talking to? You're live.
Hey there, Shane. This is April from Albuquerque.
April, how are you?
Very good. How you doing?
Pretty good. When I came through there, I met up with Joyce, who's been doing my biofield tuning sessions over the internet with me, or over the phone. And I don't know why I didn't, think to contact you. You could have met us for Starbucks.
I know. I said if I knew you guys were going through, and I was like, I was so excited for you to go to Sedona, and I was just right there with you guys, even though I wasn't able to make it. I was, with you in spirit for sure.
That's awesome. So how are things looking out your way in the West there?
It's good. It's good. I went to a UFO conference here in Albuquerque. That was kind of fun.
Oh, yeah? I've been wanting to go to more of these conferences. Definitely next year. We're planning on going.
Yeah, they had some big names. Laura Eisenhower was there, and
oh, is that the one that Edge of Wonder reported from? The channel Edge of Wonder. Do you know that channel?
I don't know that one, but they may have been because they were filming and doing a lot of interviews and all that. So it was fun. It was my first. I did go to one in Sedona, so but it was kind of half and half because I'm more like to the healing aspect, so I like that kind of part that more. But it seems like here in Albuquerque and Sedona, they mix them with UFO and the healing modalities. So
yeah.
So this one was a mix too. So it was fun. It was got to meet a lot of people, and it was. They're small, so you really do get to talk to everybody. And I found out about we have this beautiful mountain here in that I live on. It's called Sandia Mountain.
Mhm.
And I got to find out that the star people there are called the Ponte, and people here close by are communicating with them. And in fact, I took a picture right before I went to the conference of this beautiful rainbow and caught a little UFO in the picture.
Oh, wow.
So when I went to the conference, I was showing it to them, and they go, yeah, there's ships going in and out of there.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I did stop a little bit after I met with Joyce. I was going out the other side of Albuquerque in the mountains. I thought, man, this is beautiful, and because it was early morning, so there was a lot of like morning mist in the mountains and stuff. And I pulled over into this little empty cul-de-sac where no houses were built yet. It was just kind of an empty subdivision or part of a subdivision. And I pulled my drone out and I flew it around and got some footage and stuff. I still haven't pulled it off the camera. I think it's been like a couple of months now or whatever. But I have the footage.
Check it close. You might have caught something.
Oh, that would be awesome. Sitting here on something cool.
You never know.
Yeah.
You got to check those pictures close. It's fun to take pictures of the sun or the rainbows or the clouds, but check them really closely because you never know what's going to be in those pictures. A little spot, a little flash. It's there if you look closely enough.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome to think about because it is a 4K camera on there, so a lot of times I will notice things that I didn't notice while I was filming it because you're looking at this little screen as you're flying it around. So yeah, it's a lot different when you get on the computer and you can like zoom in because that's like, for those who don't know, 4K is like 4 of the full 1080 screens together in a big square. So that's how big it is. So it's ginormous, it's like 4 of your big screen TVs. Just resolution wise, So yeah, it could definitely have something in there. I wouldn't even know.
Yeah, and you were talking about the fires earlier in California, and I'm from Northern California, so my family, was affected by those fires. My sister's mother-in-law completely lost her house.
Oh.
And barely made it out of there. It was in the morning. She was asleep and woke up and didn't really realize what was going on. And then suddenly she's seeing fires across the street, and just like I say, it was just so scary. And because I do have friends and family there, I was getting a lot on my Facebook, read and just the scary situations that were going on there. People were, loading up their little trucks and then driving and seeing people. I'm sorry, my voice is a little choked up, but driving down, they didn't know if they were going towards the fire, against the fire. Seeing, people, a guy pushing somebody in a wheelchair, trying to get out of the fire. I know. They, loaded them up in the truck, and then a little ways down the road, they picked up somebody else walking, trying to get out of the fire. And there's just so many, scary situations. I mean, it was trash day, and the trash guy was concerned about his older patrons, and he went back thinking, oh, I'm going to get fired because I shouldn't be doing this, but he was going by his heart, and he went back. Sure enough, there's a little old lady standing on a porch, not knowing what to do. And he went and picked her up and saved her life. So there's so many of those stories, that good-hearted people, helping out. And my brother does search and rescue, so they went in after the fires, and they couldn't find anything. I mean, the bodies were just totally cremated to dust. I mean, it was just, that's how hot the fires were.
That is wild. Yeah, I saw the fire tornadoes and just looked just horrible there. It's just hard to imagine.
And another longtime friend, he's in his 80s, and, his house was totally burned to the ground. Has so many, it was just so devastating.
Do you feel like the people there are questioning what's going on, or?
It's, I always, I'm like the other callers were talking about, you just don't know, so I hate to put stuff out there because, I'm all into conspiracies, so it's just, but there was also the problem of they passed some kind of law where they were not doing the preventive fires, like so many places do, where they burn to prevent fires from getting too close to houses or buildings and stuff, and they weren't doing that. They were not doing those preventative burns.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a lot of, dried, wood, and, just that area was really dry. But, like you said, there's a lot of spots where the trees were still alive and the houses were gone.
Yeah, that's really strange.
So, yes, very strange. And so, they talk about the smart meters, something with that, either, you just, I don't know, I have not done the research, so I cannot really say, because
I'm the same exact way. I know what you're saying. I mean, I consider everything, but ultimately I'm like, I don't, this isn't not my area of expertise, so I can't really, it looks suspicious, but, I don't know anything about that really, I just know melted metal sounds kind of weird for a fire,
I know. Oh, I know. Just when you see some of the way how things burnt, it is crazy. It's like I don't ever remember seeing things burn that hot.
Yeah.
That hot, and it just crazy. And there's been so many fires. Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah, when you look at it on the map, I mean, it's like, dude, this is humongous. This goes for so many miles. I mean, to be able to look at a whole state map, and it's like this string of fires that stretch, more than half of the state upwards. It's like, wow, it's hard to wrap your head around how big that is. I mean, you know how it is when you're taking a trip, and it's like you're going down the highway, and it takes forever to make any progress when you're, the old style maps anyway. When you used to have to take a trip and look at the map, it was like it took forever to go hardly anywhere on a map, and it's pretty zoomed in. But when you look at like these maps and it's stretching for so long, it just really, it's hard to wrap your head around,
Yeah. And so, I mean, changing subject now, we talked fires a little bit, about the high frequencies that we're hearing in our ears.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been hearing that, Shane?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, let's listen.
Yeah, you've been hearing it too?
Go ahead. Oh, yeah. But you know what? Something came into my mind, and I just wanted to put it out there. I don't know. I don't know if you watch Harry Potter movies.
My kids have, so I've seen some of it, but I don't know them,
Well, there's this one of them that they're in these games. They're doing these games, and they have clues of how to work the games. And one of them was this golden egg, and he opened it up, and it had this high pitched sound, and he had to close it real quick because it was just screeching.
Mm-hmm.
But then he got a clue: if you put it in the water, then he could understand it clearly, because in the water he could hear the song of what that high pitch, above water you couldn't understand, but in the water he could understand it. And it just kind of put something, thought in my head that I'm like, we're hearing these frequencies, and I'm thinking, what if you could slow them down or, tune them so that there is a message in these frequencies that we're hearing, but we just can't understand it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've often thought that about birds, the way birds sound. It sounds like they couldn't be saying anything really, but then I think about how fax machines or even if you speed a tape up really fast, it sounds like a bird, but it's really voices. And
Mm-hmm.
if you slow it down and you're like, oh, that's actually a voice or whatever. So I've wondered if birds are just talking really fast, on a high pitch, and
Mm-hmm.
they could be saying full sentences with one little tweet, I guess that word's kind of overused now, but yeah.
Because when you hear light language and they talk real fast or high pitched in their light language,
Mm-hmm.
that's also, we can't understand it, but then the person sometimes will translate it for you. So, so that's like, I'm thinking maybe, we can tune into, eventually be able to tune into this high-pitched sounds that we're hearing. And I know Greg Prescott, he's been talking about, them relating this to our chakras, the different, tones, G, high-pitched A, or, and all that. So, so that he's kind of thinking it might be with different parts of, the third eye or the throat or, different parts of our chakras. So that was interesting too. So, but I think it is we will understand it more as time goes on.
I think so too. And you know what it just reminded me of when you said the egg in the water thing? I was just taken back to the call earlier from Michelle's Opinions when she said when they were out on the boat, it was like she wasn't hearing as much out there, and it just that's actually where I thought you were leading with it, that maybe it had something similar.
Yeah,
to
the
do.
Water.
Yeah.
The water. I missed that part because I may have been calling in during that part. So that's interesting. The synchronicity that.
Yeah, and I pay
so
attention to those because I don't see that as a coincidence, So I'm like, I'm going to have to explore this water thing. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we should, maybe there's, maybe I need to get in the bathtub and put my ears underneath or something. I don't know. Start listening for a divine message. I used to do that as a kid. I'd be like, wow, everything sounds so weird when it's, I just put my ears in the water. But yeah, that's...
It just reminds me of that picture when Harry went in the water, Harry Potter, and he went in the water with that egg, and then it was beautiful, Yeah. But So what about Mandela effects? Have you been having any of those? Any new ones?
Well, I don't know. My wife just had one with me where she was talking about, hey, did you know George Michael died or whatever, like around Christmas or something? And I'm like, yeah, you told me 2 months ago. She goes, no, I didn't. I'm like, yeah, you said something about it was right around Christmas. She goes, yeah, that's the story. I'm like, she's like, I don't remember. It's brand new to me. And I was like, are you the same person? I was just teasing her, but it's just funny because you think, did I shift again? And, you can't help but wonder once you start experiencing the Mandela effect. She doesn't seem any different to me, but I have to wonder why she didn't remember that story,
Yeah, it's like I listened to Alba Wyman. She does the hypnosis, and I was listening to Michelle Walling's one. Sometimes I'll listen to them over again, and I was listening to it, and I'm like, I don't remember this information. It was, because I've listened to them several times, so I usually know what was on that. And it was like, that sounds like totally new information that she's telling on, that video. And I don't remember ever hearing that information. And there was several of them that I listened to again, and I'm like, that seems like new information.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, maybe we are, getting new information.
It sure seems like it sometimes.
Yeah, and just have to be aware.
And
we're getting to. Go ahead.
There's just so many things that I see that could be different, but I'm just not 100% sure of, and I typically don't put them in the pile for me anyway, unless other people start talking about it a lot or whatever. But one that I'm just so surprised that no one seems to notice is Jim Carrey's last name having 2 R's in it. I don't know if, this is something that only affects me, but it's just so weird to see it with 2 R's. And I know that because every time I see it, I feel like it's misspelled because I've seen it the other way so many times in my mind. And, but I know, I go back and watch these videos I saw back when it was 1 R, and now they have 2, and they look like they've always had 2 in there, and it's just so weird to me. It's such a little thing, but then I wonder, that kind of gets me back into, I was just talking to my wife earlier about people in the Bible, their names would change when they changed, sort of like Abram became Abraham, and Saul became Paul when they went through these transformations. And then I noticed how Jim Carrey seemed to go through this transformation just as his name changed, you know. And then like Joel Osteen, you know, he's supposed to be like this inspirational pastor of this huge mega church or whatever, but then he didn't let those people in to the church during this flood or whatever because he didn't want to mess up the church or whatever. And then his name lost the L. Now it's Osteen instead of Oldstein. So I don't know if it's indicative of them shifting one way or the other. You know, I don't really know. It's just, it's always puzzling to consider the Mandela effect because it's such a subjective thing, you know.
No, because, well, that's interesting that you saw it that way. That was some good insight. That was, you know, you seem a change for the better and a change for the worse. You know?
Right. Just different people altogether, you know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because yeah, I've just been looking more for personal ones because I think, you know, they're more interesting because, you know, like, you know, every time I see that where they has his hand on his, he used to have his hand on his forehead, but now he has it on his chin.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I see one of those, you know, and I never noticed them before you started talking about that.
Yeah.
And it seems like they always pop up here and there that I see that little statue.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so funny that you see it pop up. And, you know, one of the things that I got so excited about when I first noticed it change was I was like, oh, wait a minute, that was in the opening of one of my favorite childhood shows or whatever. So I found it actually wasn't very hard. I looked up Mr. Wizard's World, you know, opening sequence or whatever, and started playing it, just waiting to see it just the way I remember it. And it was the new way, but it looked old. I mean, it looked like old footage, like it's always been that way. And it was such a trip to me. That was early on. So, and I didn't doubt it because I had one, but it was still really weird to see. It was very sci-fi for me to experience. I'm like, wow, this is really neat the way this is changing. I know it freaked people out, but for me it was kind of cool in a way. Yeah. And then there was just another one where this is somebody else I watched on a Facebook friend, and he was saying that he was watching Mr. Mom, and then in the TV, you know, in the movie, they were showing something that hadn't even been around at that time. This other movie that was on the TV came out after that Mr. Mom was made. Oh, really? Yeah, I've got to go watch that again because I watched it a bunch as a kid. I would probably notice a change in that. The comic, it's like one of those comic superhero sci-fi, you know, things that are on now. Yeah. They said that wasn't even around at that time when that, you know, because it is kind of an older flick, and they knew that was afterwards. Yeah. And so so that's another one that is weird. Came up just recently. Yeah, I always think of that one scene where he's, how about a little trim on that mustache, Ron? You know, and he like has his, you know, tree, what do you call it, chainsaw or whatever. That I always think of it. Jealous about his wife leaving with the guy or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. But like if that changed to beard or something, I'd be, you know, there'd be no doubt in my mind that he said, you know, mustache before, you know, so because that's like, and I've had a few Mandela effects like that where I sort of had these like little, I don't know, personal memes or whatever that I, you know, just, it's always some part of this movie I liked and I just made it part of things I say and stuff. And then for something like that to change, you know, it's like, man, I've been saying it for 30 years. How could it possibly have changed, you know? Yeah. Yeah. It's fun, you know, and I don't like to get too tight in it, but it's still, you know, fun to notice these things. And, you know, I like to just think of it's, you know, our future self, you know, waking us up, you know, wake up. Yeah. You know, give us a little Mandela to wake up. Yep. And so many of them seem that way, like they affect you personally, or, you know, because you got to get past that point of it just being a memory thing. Like the statue thing wasn't a memory thing for me because, you know, I just seen it so many times and it was just such a part of my life. It'd be like, you know, if my thumb moved to the other side of my hand or something, you know, I would just notice it. It's not like a bad memory thing. Memory really doesn't play any part in it. So I think, once you hit that point, then it makes it easier to see the other ones, like Fruit Loops and things that, I saw those at first, but I just couldn't get beyond the belief of the impossible happening to believe it. I was like, maybe I was just wrong, with the way it was spelled.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is fun. But other people view you like you're crazy if you get a little too far into it, and just have to start playing along when you're with other people.
Yeah, and I know with the event thing, everybody kind of got excited. I'm kind of changing the subject a little bit, just with the event, everybody getting excited, and then it's just kind of, oh, what happened? And so, but I think it's still going, just a process and going on, and just we need to keep letting our light shine. Just remember that we are shining stars, and anything they throw at us. I just got this little song in my head, that one where it's, anything they can do, we can do better. That song, just that we're the antidote. We're the antidote. Whatever they throw at us, we are prepared. We can do, it even better. To resolve the situation. So we just have to keep the faith up.
Yeah, nobody knows how it's going to play out, but we know we're not in Kansas anymore. If you just like with the Mandela effect and so many other weird things happening, I know something's happening. I don't really know how it's going to play out. If it's going to one day we're going to wake up and things are going to be different, or if it's going to be this long drawn out transition for 3 more generations. God, I hope not, but ultimately we don't know. Like, no, you have 3 more incarnations. Like, no.
We got the golden ticket. We're here. Let's get it done.
Yeah, amen to that.
I know. I'm like, no, I don't want to come back 3 times.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's do it right this time.
Yeah. It kind of makes you, when you think about that, it makes you glad you got the memory wipe, because if you remember 3 previous lives and, vivid detail building up to this moment, and I don't know, I think it would make it harder. So I think everything's working out the way it's supposed to.
I read this book, and it was concerning time travel, and they would go back and they were trying to fix a situation. I can't remember the name of this book. It was like, I'm drawing a blank. But, and she goes, how many times have we done this? And he goes, like, 18 times, because they kept, he was, they were supposed to work the situation out, but they couldn't get the timing right. And they kept going back in time to, so he could save her. And so it was like, oh, man. You know? I don't even want to think about that. That we have to come back and do this again. But
yeah, there was an episode of The Travelers like that, where they kept, I guess, like the whole crew kept getting killed, and they would keep sending people back and keep playing the segment of time out until they could save their life, and everybody kept getting there just a little too late, and they would all get killed, and it was like, that was the whole show, was them trying to save their life. And well, I don't want to ruin it if anybody's watching it, but maybe they saved them, maybe not. I don't know.
I think I did watch. Was it a movie?
It was a show called Travelers, where
because it was a movie like that too, where he kept having to say, go back and do it again, and they finally got it right. It's just
Right.
So that was,
well, the Groundhog's Day one, but you're talking about something else.
No, this was another one.
Oh, okay.
This was kind of a, I just caught part of it, so it was kind of the same thing,
Yeah.
He kept having to, play the day over again to get it right,
Yeah. So you haven't seen Travelers then?
I haven't seen that one.
I think the beginning of that scared people off because it seemed like it was going to be a little more violent than it really is when you watch it. At least one person I talked to was like, no, that was, way too bad or whatever. But, if you can get beyond, I think they just tried to make it really exciting in the beginning. They kind of went overboard because the whole show isn't like that. But the first one seems pretty bad. But basically the premise of it is whenever somebody's going to die, people from the future can come take over their body and save their life and have their body since they were going to die anyway. And so the people from the future are called travelers that come back and sort of walk into these people just as they're going to die and save their life. And then the person goes on and they take over their life, and they're trying to, you know, change time or whatever as everything's getting taken over by AI. It's really interesting. It's a really cool show if you can get beyond, you know, that first initial scene.
Yeah. When I was at that UFO conference, I met this one gal. She was speaking, and she was a walk-in from, you know, and that's always interesting when you meet somebody that, you know, takes over for somebody else. And that is it's always fascinating when I run into one of those. You know?
Yeah.
So of course I had to, you know, talk to her and, you know, just, you know, how did because they actually killed off the original person, and the other person came in, the same body took over for that body, and I was like, how did the family take it, you know, when you told them that, you know, you aren't the original person in that body? You know, that was just so crazy to me. I'm just like, how did that go down? You know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like what?
I know.
That was weird.
She said, you know, first, because when she first came in, she had, you know, a hard time adjusting to being in the body. And finally she told them, you know, what happened. And they, you know, they did adjust, I guess. But, you know, she said it took her a while to get adjusted to being in the body and all that. So I was like, wow.
Yeah, I had Aurora.
So crazy.
Aurora from Flying Rainbow Lasagna YouTube channel. I don't know if you know her, but she's a walk-in, and I had her on. Oh, it's been over a year. But she was explaining that same thing. Oh, it was Aurora? Her. Oh, okay. Yeah, she's been on the show before.
Yes, the lasagna.
Yeah, Flying Rainbow Lasagna.
That was her, because I'm wearing her earrings right now.
Oh, wow.
She sells these earrings, and I'm wearing these earrings that she made.
Yeah.
And she was selling a few things there at had a table, and I was talking to her. Yeah, that's her.
That's awesome. It's awesome you got to meet her.
Yeah, I know, she was really cool, and I just, you know, like I say, I was just fascinated with her.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, you know, I like the details, you know, I want all the, tell me everything, you know.
Yep, definitely. That is strange.
That's crazy that
That's what that show is so cool about, you know, because it's like...
I missed that show. I have to go back and look for it.
Yeah, I wonder if they're coming back with another season. I really look forward to seeing it again if they bring it back. But yeah, she came on and I was asking her all about it, and she was going through how she, you know, the original occupier of her body. I don't know what you call it, but the original person was, I guess, killed in a ritual type satanic thing or something, and had the choice of coming back or not. So they were like, I'm not going back. So she got to take over her body. I don't blame her though. So, the original lady.
Yeah, she said the grandparents had given up one of the granddaughters, and that was her. I think that's what it was. And so it wasn't like her parents that did it, but it was like went up the line.
That's strange.
That was the agreement. And, you know, the parents didn't realize it, but, you know, it went down, and she thought it was so unfair, and she came and took her body, to help out with it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she had, I think, a lot of injuries that she had to recuperate from. So not only did she have to kind of get a grip on what it's like to be here on Earth, she had to recover and relearn a lot of things that were lost and stuff. So that's really weird.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine. It's like you're taking over someone's spacesuit or something that's damaged, and you already don't know what it's like in space, but on top of that, you've got to, you know, repair your suit. So I don't know. It's just kind of a strange
She did a good job. She's fabulous now.
Oh yeah, her artwork is. Have you ever seen any of her YouTube channel stuff?
I haven't, but she was wearing some of her art. Like she makes yoga pants with the designs on them, and earrings, and she had like some scarves and stuff with her art on it. So yeah, I got to see a little bit of it while I was there.
That's super. Yeah, I haven't watched any of her stuff in a while. I'm just so busy. But yeah, she was. She's got that whole system, the rainbow lasagna, the just explaining how to get out of the matrix or whatever. So really cool channel.
I was watching Michelle Walling and Greg Prescott, and they were being interviewed with Todd Medina. And I guess Greg's having a horrible time with shadow banning and, his stuff not being shown. And he doesn't usually do interviews, but he decided with Michelle, he would do one because he's such an introvert. I was thinking when I saw him on Todd's show, I go, maybe he'll go on your show.
Oh, actually, he was supposed to come on here. And it's funny you say that because it's like me and Todd are supposed to do something. Me and Greg are supposed to do something. Me and Michelle's been on a couple times already. But it's like we're all really introverts, and we'll, the same thing with Lone Eagle. It's like we'll contact each other, agree that we want to do something, but never do anything because we get busy with whatever we're doing already. So yeah, Greg was supposed to come on, like, I don't know, I think it's been about a year since we talked that he was supposed to come on or whatever. So that's funny that
he might be more open to it now. He may be.
Yeah, I'll get Michelle to talk him into it. Yeah, because he's just he doesn't, but with her he'll do it. Yeah.
So this might be a better timing right now. Especially with the red tide, he's.
Sorry, I was trying to think of the other guy's name, Matt Belair. He's another one that we're supposed to get together after the new year too. So, but yeah, it's so many great people to talk to, and then like even Debbie Hazelton. She was in the chat earlier. I don't know if she's still around, but she's supposed to come back on. It's just so hard to keep up with so many people and do research and read the books for upcoming guests. And I got my own book I need to do editing for. So, gosh. And then, of course, you got to have time for your kids and stuff like that. And so I try to, it can be difficult to keep up with everything. How old are
your kids?
They range, my oldest is 24 and my youngest is 11. I got 5 kids all together.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
Well, I got 2 grown kids, so it's really, 4 girls and 1 boy, and the boy is the youngest. So of course he's spoiled from all his older sisters, and and everybody else, me and my wife too. But yeah, they can get quite busy.
Can't help yourself.
Right. Thank goodness they entertain each other a lot of the time. So.
Yeah, I know. I just had one son, and it's hard not to spoil him.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and my second daughter has a baby too, so I got 1 grandkid too on top of that, and he comes over all the time. So
that's great.
Any grandkids for you? Does your son have any?
No, I only have my. They pull out the pictures, and now I can only pull out my little furry. I have a Siberian Husky, so when they start pulling the grandkid pictures out, I pull out my little puppy pictures because I'm like, I've had it. My son he's traveling, having fun, and just enjoying himself. So he is not tied down. Not tied down, but he just hasn't found the right woman. Which I'm hoping he does.
Yeah.
But,
well, no need to rush it.
I know. He's having the time of his life.
Yeah.
I'm like, Trent, don't wait too long.
Oh, that's funny. April Lunsford. People think April Lunsford is on the phone. No, this isn't April Lunsford, just so you guys know. That you'd be an awesome.
This is April from Albuquerque.
April from Albuquerque, right?
So I know you just thought April. I think there's another one. Isn't there? There's like 2 or 3 of us.
Yeah, even the fifth world is April. So yeah, we got several Aprils and Angelas and Michelles and only one Ronnie. So there's a few in here that's by themselves, but yeah, several Michelles and Angelas, and it's funny that Sherry's, and yeah, there's it's strange when you consider that, because I've got like all these names I got to remember, and then I got to remember their screen names on top of their real names, but I managed to work out all right. So, oh yeah, Deborah.
Yeah, you did good.
A lot of Deborahs too. Debbie, Deborah.
Yeah. Well,
it's okay.
Let me get up the line and maybe see if anybody else wants to chat it up.
All righty. Thank you so much for calling in, April.
Merry Christmas to everybody, and much love to everybody.
Yes, Merry Christmas to you too. Lots of love to you, and Happy New Year too.
Okay.
All right.
You too.
All righty. Bye bye.
Okay, take care, Shane.
You too.
Okay.
Bye
bye.
Let's go.
You're listening to The Love Stream.
Unbiased and on the fence.
All right, going back to the up. You put your hand down. Did you want to put it back up? 541. You can hit *2 if you wanted to talk. Let me go back into here and see. Let's see. That's funny. I looked a second ago and there was 2 people with their hands up, and don't chicken out. It's okay, guys. 541. There you are. You're on the air. Who am I talking to?
Go-Kart Bob.
Hey, Bob. What's up, man?
Is this Shane?
Yes. Do I sound funny on the phone?
No, you sound great.
Okay.
No, I'm just trying to get my stuff on my end settled.
Well, you sound great. You're coming through good.
Oh, good. Well, first of all, I want to say hi to everybody in the chat, because I didn't do that last time. And I wanted to talk to you about the time thing speeding up. It's not the latest Mandela effect, but it is for me. Last week I noticed, or I saw a video by Scott Harrison, and apparently he did it about a year ago, and I didn't notice it. But what you do is you know how to count time: 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, and I started doing that. And if you count about 10 seconds and then look at your clock, it'll be about like 15 seconds. And anybody can do it.
Yeah, or 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, all of those.
Exactly. And that's what they said. And in America, they say 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi.
Yeah.
But if you do that, like get a second hand or something with the second counter on it, and you count it. I close my eyes. I wait till the top of the second, and then I count 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4. And now I'm counting kind of quick, right? I remember when I was a kid and I did that, I had to slow down. I always told myself to, take your time. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000. But now you got to do it so fast. It's like 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000.
Yeah, you can barely keep up now, for sure. It's a
it's
a push to keep up with it.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying it's really, you have to push it to try to keep up with it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so it definitely shows that it's faster.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the Bible verse, it says that's a prophecy about time speeding up. And I never would have thought that was literal. I would have said, oh, it's a metaphor. It means something else,
Right.
I don't know what it means. But I wouldn't have thought it would be literal.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I just noticed this last week, and I was just going, oh, wow, that's another weird one. because it's a change in our physical reality.
Yeah. And that's what I was pointing out. You know, when it's considered a constant, when you look at like different things that are considered a constant, like gravity on Earth or like time, then things are developed around that because it supposedly doesn't change. So like when we look at the Schumann resonance, like I was pointing out in that Schumann video, since they consider hertz to be how many cycles there are per second, then you can have time speed up and the hertz look like they're not changing, or the Schumann resonance looks like it's not changing. And then, you know, because that's what scientists are saying, that, well, no, it's been 7.83 since, you know, we started discovering it and all this stuff. But that's when you consider that time isn't changing, because they don't consider time changes. But if you speed it up a little bit and it's keeping up with it, then it's increased as well with the time, because we look at it in relationship to time, you know?
Right. There has to be some standard unit of measure.
Yeah.
You know, and which I thought was generally 1/1000, 2/1000.
Yeah.
You know, and so it seems to be going a lot faster.
Yeah. And I've noticed it fluctuate a little bit too. Since I noticed it speed up, I went and checked it at some point. I think it was around this time last year, and noticed it had dropped back down again. I'm like, well, it's actually fluctuating. Because when I was a kid, I always wore watches. I'd had little watches with the calculators on them, and I loved watches. It was like my thing as a kid, you know. And I would look at the second hand, and then I count it out in my head, and I look back and see how well I was paced, and I got it to where I was right on. I had a lot of time on my hand as a kid, I guess. You know, whenever you're like stuck somewhere and you don't have anything else to do.
Like me.
Yeah. So I know what a minute is, and now it seems like, you know, anywhere from 5 to 10 extra seconds, you know, past what it would have been before, and maybe even worse, you know.
Yeah, and the fluctuation I already noticed just in this last week, because I've been doing this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like when I first noticed it last week, it was almost 5 seconds off. I couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah.
And just doing it while I was waiting on the phone, I have a second hand on the phone, so I was counting it out.
Yeah.
And it was only about 2 to 3 seconds off.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go, yeah, it's definitely moving around. And like you're saying, I think of time as like a wave or whatever. It should be a constant rhythm or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Never would have thought it would be able to change.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not supposed to. And there's really no way to tell. It's kind of like, you know, you look at the length of something, and then somebody stretches the ruler a little bit on you, and the thing grows the same amount, and then you're like, well, no, it hasn't gotten any longer. Well, they stretched the ruler on you. How are you going to know? You know?
Yeah, right. And that's why I say maybe that's why our inner clocks, our time, our sleeping, is causing our sleep to be so disrupted.
Yeah.
Because mine certainly has lately.
Yeah, because that gets into the brain waves.
I can't seem to get into a constant sleep cycle.
Mm-hmm.
It's just erratic and has been for the last few years. But anyways, did you notice it? Did you know about this time kind of thing?
Yeah, I think it was
before now.
It was actually about this time last year that I had checked it again, because somebody mentioned it and noticed that it slowed back down. I think it was sometime around December that whenever I checked it. Now, I didn't check it as much as you've checked it, so I thought maybe it had sped up when I first looked at it, you know, I guess summer of last year, and then winter I checked it again and saw it was slower, but I wasn't checking it like week by week or whatever, because, you know, it's kind of funny because you look to see if something's changed and you're like, oh, no, it hasn't, and you feel like, oh, well, it's not going to change, but things do change again, and it's just strange because you got to keep checking stuff. And I've had people say that about Bible verses and stuff. I'm like, oh, no, it's that now. I'm like, well, let me look, because it could have changed again, you know, so I better go check it, you know.
Right. Yeah, that's the other one that gets me, is every time I try to go look something up in the Bible, I can't find it.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a weird one.
And I know, you know, it was always tough for me because of spelling, and then the King James Bible, which I've always used,
Yeah.
is hard to remember how they spell, like, saith. I look for, he said this, and it says he saith this.
Yeah.
And so spelling words like that is always difficult.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to look up that verse about the time speeding up and see what that says around that.
I've noticed there was a YouTuber that was talking bad about the whole idea of the Mandela effect or whatever, and I mentioned some Bible changes, and she, in her comment to her video or whatever, and she goes, well, everybody knows it's that or whatever. I'm like, have you looked it up in your Bible? And I honestly don't think she went and looked it up, because she knows so well what it says that she didn't even go check it, and I was like, please just go look. I know what I'm saying is impossible, but please just look at it. And she never responded to my thing. So, she's like, I know it's the Lion and the Lamb. Why am I going to go look at it? I've read it a million times. I'm like, well, I know it sounds like...
I understand that too.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to deny the changes too. I just thought, no, this can't happen.
Right.
This isn't possible,
But they don't even look. That's the thing. And those are the people that you can convince, because they know so well what it says that if they saw that it had changed, then they would be a believer in the fact that it's happening. But when you can't even get them to look, it's like, oh my gosh, just look. I know it sounds impossible, but look.
Yeah, those kind of people wouldn't want to admit that it's changed, I think.
Probably not, yeah. You remember the sun stood still. I remember the sun stood still in the Bible. I think that was, was that, I remember that story for like 3 hours or something. The sun stood still. One of the stories.
Yeah, when he died on the cross, the sun stood still. Or that's when it went dark or something, which I think is the same thing.
Right, I think that was an eclipse maybe, but it seems like there was one with Elijah.
But
in the Old
there's
Testament.
another story in the Old Testament, I think.
Yeah. I think it was with Elijah where the sun stood still.
Or sun.
Yeah. Yeah, so many great stories.
But I certainly, it changes, my theory on time being constant. I now think it can bend, move, fluctuate, goes along with the weird science stuff.
Yeah, and I wonder, since the speed of light is supposed to be a constant, I'm wondering if it's changing with time, so we wouldn't be able to tell. But if it's not changing with time, then that might be another standard by which we can tell how much time is sped up. If it looks like the speed of light has changed, it's just beyond my ability to test the speed of light. I don't have whatever instruments they use to do that, but that might be, because that's supposed to remain a constant. But if it's staying a constant and time's fluctuating, then we might be able to tell how much time is fluctuating by how fast the speed of light is. But if it's all changing together, all we can do is guess, because even the 1/1000, 2/1000 thing, we don't know if our brain sped up or something. I mean, we still can't rule something else out, other factors, you know what I mean? So it's just weird.
I know.
That's why it's so subjective.
It brings up all kinds of questions.
Oh yeah, it's like the more you dig, the more questions you find. Even if you do find some answers, it still pops up several more. Oh, you having problems calling in, Chris? Just dial the number. You can ignore the PIN number part and put the show ID in 1477973, and then hit *2 to raise your hand and talk. Sorry to cut you off, but
I forget that we're talking to the chat too.
Yeah, I just saw somebody was having problems calling in, but
wait a minute. Who are you talking to, Shane?
I was talking to...
Oh, yeah, you're talking to Michelle. And
yeah, there's several things.
Overprotected.
Yeah.
Nicole. Jane.
Yeah. April, the fifth
I love all you guys.
Yeah. It's great to have our little group here, though. This is awesome. I was actually talking to our universe, our universal consciousness, which I believe, if I remember right, when he called him before, his name was Chris. So... that's just going off memory. I don't know if I'm remembering that right. It's been like a year, so I could be wrong, but for some reason I remember you as being Chris. I apologize if that's wrong. and I'm amazed if it's right, because I don't know how I would remember that. You know? That's funny.
Well,
Actually,
anyway,
he
that's
was
all
my
I
first
wanted
caller.
to mention was the time thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I appreciate it, Bob. And yeah, well, I guess we'll have to keep an eye on it and let us know what you know, if you've been watching it that closely. I always forget, and, you know, but yeah, I do notice it's fluctuating, which just makes you wonder what the heck's going on, you know, and if it's tied with the Mandela effect, and it totally could be, you know.
Yeah, again, it's one of those unexplainables.
Yeah.
You know.
Like the whole Rainbow Mountain thing, you know. I guess whenever something is here a certain way and it appears to have always been here that certain way, but you know it hasn't, that's sort of where you say, well, it's a Mandela effect. So when you look at time fluctuating, it didn't seem like it used to fluctuate. You know, nobody really admits that it's fluctuating now, so I don't really know if that's in that same pile.
And there again, the point is that it points to Bible prophecy.
Mm.
You know, this is another thing, and I go, oh yeah, and there's something in the Bible that talks about that. You know, so again, that's where I connect it with the Mandela, because I believe the Mandela is caused by God. I think it's a quantum shift or quantum something happening in our reality. Is changing, and it lines up with signs of prophecies in the Bible. And then this newest one, this time thing, yeah, that's in the Bible too, to me.
So you didn't find that scripture yet?
No, I got to get online. I don't remember. I remember what the Bible says, but I don't remember
like where you read
chapter and verse or who wrote it. I remember chunks of it, and then I have to look it up, you know, like based on the stories or the words that are used in it.
Yeah.
Like wineskins. Like, you know, I go, oh, I'll go look it up based on wineskin.
Yeah.
And then it comes up, no results, you know. What do you mean? I know it says wineskin. It's not there anymore.
Right.
Or demons. That was the other word, demon. You can't. Jesus cast out 7 demons from Mary Magdalene. The word demon is no longer in the King James.
Oh wow, what is it now?
It says spirits.
Oh wow.
7 spirits.
What about the demon-possessed man? It's not demon-possessed man anymore. The ones where he went into the pigs or whatever.
And that was one of my little studies. That's where I looked up the names of those demons.
Yeah.
And they have certain meanings, and then you have to translate those names to their Hebrew meaning, which again I call emotions. They're gluttony, sadness, sorrow, you know, loneliness, depression. I was going, that's what they represent. So when Jesus cast out those demons from that person, they were all those sad emotions and feelings, is how I see it.
Yeah. Well, now there was the one about time that in Daniel, gosh, I want to say it's like Daniel 7:1 maybe, where they talk about... What's that?
Typed it, Daniel 12.
Yeah, I noticed that. That's what made me remember the, you know, where it says he will seek to change the times and laws or whatever. I think that's one that's been used by people that sort of view the Mandela effect as this thing caused by Satan or the Antichrist or whatever. And, you know, that this would be indicative of that happening. You know, he's changing the time, you know.
Yeah, there again, I think that's just wording, the way they word things. It's like an idiom. You know, it doesn't mean a lot.
Yeah.
It's just the way they're using words.
Right. Meaning more like changing the status quo or the way things are, not really time itself.
Yeah. Not time itself. That's what I meant by saying, you know, I know there's scripture in there, and I wouldn't have taken it literal.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, but now I do.
Yeah.
Time is speeding up. So we all got birthdays coming sooner now.
Yeah. That's an optimistic way of looking at it. We're getting wiser faster, right?
Yeah. There you go. Learning quicker.
The number on the screen, Stephen, is if you're in America, if you're anywhere outside. I thought you were, but if you're anyone listening, if you're outside America, you can look in the description for your country code for the phone number from wherever you're at. So yeah, that's the thing with time, man. It's like back to, time when it's used in the Bible, it could totally mean something different than literally time. And I think a lot of things are taken literally that perhaps shouldn't be,
Right. That's why I wanted to look up that verse so that, I like to read the whole chapter at least, and get the content.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I
interesting.
don't remember. My memory's so messed up anymore.
Well, that book I just read, where I had Dr. Rick Strassman on, he had brought up a prophecy that I wanted to return to because it seems like maybe what really stuck to me is that it said the sun would be 7 times brighter and the moon would be 7 times brighter and shine like the sun. But what stood out to me is Venus, I heard someone saying, a scientist or someone was saying that it was 7 times brighter than it used to be. And that 7 times really stuck in my head. I mean, 700% of light coming from Venus than what was in the past. I mean, that's really a considerable amount brighter. But the fact that it was the same as that prophecy made me wonder, I need to go find that prophecy and see what it's talking about,
Yeah, Venus is the brightest star in the sky that we see.
Yeah, it's the one right at sunset.
Is that the red one?
What's that?
Is that the one that looks red?
No, that's Mars, and that's only bright because it's really close right now. It's actually moving away from us, but yeah, it's been really bright for the last few months.
It looks twice as bright to me. It looks twice as big and twice as bright from what I remember.
Yeah, it's really close. In fact, through my telescope, I could actually, make out more than I've ever seen on Mars this last, I guess, a few months ago when it was making its closest approach. I got in there and looked, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so blurry because, it's just a telescope looking through the atmosphere, but I could actually make out some details. Just like with Jupiter, I could make out the lines just a little bit and the rings of Saturn and all of that. I'd never been able to do that before when I had a telescope as a kid, so it's been a lot funner.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, awesome, I got a little telescope. I could look at the moon, but...
Yeah. It moves so much, man. You go say, come look at it, and then you come out and it's not on it anymore. You realize how fast it's moving when you're looking through a telescope.
Oh, and then a quick mention of the weather here. It's really cold. We got a cold blast. It was 22 this morning, and it was about 35 for our high today.
Oh, wow.
In Oregon.
Is that pretty normal for that area this time of year?
No, that's pretty cold. Usually we drop down to close to freezing, usually around the 40s, to the 30, 35-ish, but rarely freezes. But we do. January, February, we can get freezing rain and all that shit.
Yeah, it's 37 here now. I was just looking. Which, I don't know, that's probably pretty normal.
And it's cloudy back. Anyway, that's the weather report from the Northwest.
Awesome. What about up there?
Okay,
Do you get any smoke from California blow up that way or no?
Oh yeah. It was we had fires in southern Oregon this year too. And so it blew up right up. It's like a long valley, the west side of Oregon is almost at sea level. It's only a couple hundred feet above sea level.
Right.
And then you hit the Cascades, and then it goes up to about 3,000 feet. So most of Oregon is, 2,000 to 3,000 foot high, except for the valley. And so we call it that. Everybody lives from anywhere from Eugene, Albany, Corvallis, Salem, Portland, all of that is all in the Willamette Valley. And we can get smoke stuck in there. We get clouds stuck in there. You know, we just get rain.
Yeah.
Until it blows out, and then it clears up, and it's beautiful.
Well, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I haven't been to Oregon. I guess the furthest west I've been is Arizona. Twice now.
Oh, yeah, and then the meetup thing. That'd be cool if you could get a bus and travel around, too.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I think that was Sherry O.P.
Yeah.
saying that.
Yeah, I was telling her
I
because
said, yeah, and she wanted to go look for Bigfoot, and I said,
Yeah.
we got lots of them up here. I think they call them Sasquatch up here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I told her when our friend gets done with the RV, we should take it when they're done, unless they damage it with a Sasquatch inside there. I wouldn't take it inside there, guys. Just wouldn't. A Harry and the Hendersons type of situation going on there. Did you see that movie way back in the
Yeah,
day?
right. Yes, yeah. Chevy Chase.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Okay, Shane, I'll let you go.
All right, appreciate you, buddy. Have a good one.
All right, we'll see you guys. Love you all in the chat.
All right,
Good
love
night.
you, buddy. Bye-bye.
Love you too, Shane.
Your calls, your stories, on air. You're listening to the Love Stream.
Sharing the love and spreading the light all around the world. This is Unbiased and On the Fence.
Gonna go back to the phone lines. Wait a minute, Steven, did you ever get in here, man? Guess you're having problems. Yeah, I wanted to explain that one more time. The number on the screen is actually, if you're in the United States, if you're calling from Canada, Australia, anywhere else, do look down below because I have numbers for pretty much most of the English-speaking world and more. So yeah, the show ID is going to be the same as what you see on the screen. Ignore the pen number thing, or you can actually, wherever you are in the world, if you want to go to that link, the talkshoe.com show love stream link, that is in the description. You can go there and just join into the stream that way. And if you have a mic on your computer and headphones and stuff, you can actually join that way, raise your hand with a click of the mouse and talk through your computer or phone or whatever. So yeah, multiple ways to get here. If you're having trouble with one, you can use the other. So yeah, the idea of time changing is really a trippy one because it's not supposed to change, and everything's tied to it. The Schumann, the speed of light, our consciousness, everything. Oh, you're having problems, Stephen? You might want to try maybe through the website. I know. Yeah, let me try that. Give Stephen some time to get in here. Let me get on Facebook. Nicola. And see. I'm going to try to get a hold of Nicola in the future. There we go. I'm going to call you up, see if this works.
Jay, this
Hey.
is Nicola.
Hey, Nicola.
How are you, Shane?
I don't know. What's the future look like?
Oh, bright and sunny with a bit of overcast.
That's awesome.
Oh, I'm so glad that you called me through. That's good. I was having trouble again for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is, but I'm glad I remember. I'd forgotten to open Facebook. I'm glad you said something because I try to leave it open, but I never get on there, so it's it's easy to forget.
Yeah, no, nor do I. Only Messenger. Because if you get on Facebook, then you get about 100 people want to contact you, and it's like you can't get to everybody at the same time. Is that why you don't get on Facebook as well?
Yeah, that's kind of part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
I go in there to get a message, and then I get bombarded, which, I love people and stuff, but I can't get to what I was going to do, and so it makes it difficult.
That's right, and then everyone thinks you've ignored them, and you haven't had time to talk to everybody. That's right. Yeah.
But I've ignored everybody, so they shouldn't feel, like I'm picking on them or anything.
That's right. Me too. Yeah. That's what I say. Yeah. Have you been getting the ringing in the ears lately as well?
I have, not the last couple of days, but definitely did a few days ago. As a matter of fact, I could feel ear pressure with the ringing some of the time, so I think something strange is going on.
Yes, yeah. Mine stopped about 4 or 5 days ago, but for about 2 weeks it was going, and so my hubby's as well. Right ear and left ear. Did yours switch as well? From ear to ear? Like yeah.
Yeah, I don't usually get it in both at the same time. It's usually one or the other.
Oh, it was one or the other, but like I think I'd
both
have,
sides.
Yeah, like I'd have 2 in a row on the right ear, like maybe on the same day, and then or a day apart, and then 2 on the left ear. It'd go in 2, like a couple of days apart. I know per time, but it was yeah.
And how long does it last? Just a couple of seconds for you, or a few seconds?
About up to 15 seconds at the most, yeah.
Ooh,
yeah, I've sort
downloads.
of counted. Yeah, a long time. Yes, yeah. And I said, hold on, Gary, we're going to download. That's my husband, yeah. And we do. We talk like that, yeah. Yeah, he's Mandela affected as well.
That's awesome.
It is, yeah, it is. What about your wife? Does she also get some Mandela effect? Does she?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's cool.
It took her a while to come around to it, but there was a few that she couldn't shake off, like the whole JFK footage, and
yes,
there's just a few that it's hard to unremember it the way you remember it, because you remember it in such detail, but she did say that one of us needed to stay kind of sane and take care of the family. So she thought I got a little obsessed with it, I think, but she's okay with it now.
Yeah, well, we're like exactly the same, but polar opposites. Like my husband said, like he thinks I get into it a lot too much as well, and not negatively, but sort of, yeah. So yeah.
It's hard not to be obsessed with it when you see like reality changing right before you. How can you not really, it's an attention grabber. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing that. I just I'm so happy I'm alive in this time. I knew something was coming my whole life. But I already thought it was here with meditation and everything, and so I already thought that was it. But wow, when this happened, and confirmation was brilliant. So it was really good. So. Yeah.
That's cool. I went to type your name and my hands on autopilot wrote Simple instead of Simpson, so I apologize.
Simple. Yeah. My hubby would agree with that sometimes. Yeah.
It's that autopilot thing, typing while you're talking, your hands like, you must want to type this. Let's see, stop sending information. No, that's funny though.
Yeah.
So I've heard there's been bushfires over there, which, it's like a forest fire, what we call forest fires here, but there's been all sorts of bushfires along the east coast of Australia. Is that anywhere near?
Yes, in Queensland as well. Yeah, I could smell it actually, but it wasn't close enough for us to sort of be in any danger, but I could smell it in the wind. Yeah. So, but we get them all the time. Like, it's not out of the ordinary. I haven't sort of seen anything that's been like what you guys have had, like weird things like the tires melting and things like that, and or the metal, like in the road. Yeah, like that happened with you guys last year too, didn't it?
Yeah,
So,
it did.
Yeah.
That's just weird.
Yeah.
Another record year of that,
Yeah. Yes, and I've been listening to a few channels, and they say that the fires have been going along a certain path where they may, in America, where they may want to build, is it a train or a mall or something?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And then I heard that they're coming in and testing the soil and saying, well, it's got this in the soil, which means that you can't rebuild here, and you hear all this stuff that just sounds like a huge setup, but I can't say for sure, but there's a lot of suspicious stuff going on.
Yes, yeah. I look at the whole world in a completely different light over the last 2 years since, just completely, and never take anything for complete truth until I've researched it, and I'm very aware. We've all opened our eyes, haven't we? I think, to see things clearer. Yeah.
So what is your husband's biggest Mandela effect?
I'm gonna, something. He just notices the little things. I'm gonna ask him now, Gary. What's your biggest Mandela effect? You're live. I'm live. He's thinking. What things? Yeah.
What are you talking about that I've seen or read, or whether I've been personally affected by, or just
personally affected.
Yeah, lots. Personally affected by. I can hear you. Yeah. Personally affected by.
It just seems to be that one thing that people have that finally takes them over the edge of disbelief. You know what I mean? I was kind of wondering what was your one big thing, Nicola?
Oh, the Star Wars, definitely. That one hit me.
Luke, I am your
that was
father.
one.
Yeah.
Luke, I am your father. Yes. And, I know. Do you know, it was weird because in about 2008 and 2009, I had a craving just to watch Luke, I Am Your Father. That was so weird, like something in my head. And I went and just switched it on and it wasn't there, and I thought, and then, I think I've told you this before, and then I looked through the other Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, just in case I missed it in the Empire Strikes Back. That's where it was, in the Empire Strikes Back. And I couldn't find it anywhere, and I thought, that's really strange. That's a director's cut or something. Why did they take that out, So, also, one of the big ones was interview with a vampire, because when I was 16, we went to the movies and saw Interview with a Vampire. 2 weeks later, I came back, a big cardboard cutout sign. There was Interview with the Vampire, and I said to Gary, that's changed. Because we've been dating this long. I said, that's changed to Interview with the Vampire. He said, no, it hasn't. It's just there, because he wasn't open-minded, as I've always been open-minded. And it just didn't sit right with me, because it's not the vampire. It's not as if it was Dracula or anything like that. It's not the vampire. It was just a story about a vampire. So, So, and then when that came up and confirmed it to me, that was a big one as well. And the VW sign, because I drew that in art, because like you do with the Thinker statue, I drew the VW sign completely, as I picked it as a logo for one of my art things in the last year of art in school. So I drew that, and I went, wow, there's lots of V's in the VW sign, and and there was no line.
Yeah, that was huge for me, because I remember when I first saw it that way, thinking, I didn't know that was the V and the W. It just looked like a lattice or something,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So you didn't understand the sign either until you really looked at it either.
Yeah.
Is that right? When you first seen it?
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I just assumed, I'm like, I'm glad they changed it, you know? And I see why they changed it. It made sense why they changed it. But then when I found out they didn't change it, it's always been that way, I'm like, no, because I didn't even know it was a V and a W. There's no way they just changed it, you know? That it's always been this way. That's crazy, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. Oh,
You
same
can't,
wavelengths.
that's
absolutely.
not like a memory thing, you know? I try to tell people, I'm like, it's not all memory, because that right there is a knowledge thing. I would have known it was a V and a W earlier on, but I remember seeing it and like, having that moment of being like, oh, all this time, you know? There's the V and the W, and I didn't see it, you know? You can't unforget something like that. It was a huge moment for me. Probably parked behind some VW, and I'm like, oh, you know, it probably just changed right then. I had no idea. Here I'm thinking they just changed their logo, and, you know, and now it supposedly has always been that way. That's ridiculous. You know?
Oh, thanks for admitting that. I'd never admitted that I didn't know, you know, what it was.
Yeah.
I just thought it was like two Vs, and I thought, oh, yeah, that looks good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's two Vs and a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
And you and I are both artists, so we draw, and we don't see the big picture.
Yeah. It's like that. We view things differently, you know, but I was viewing more of the geometric pattern of it rather than trying to distinguish where the V and the W was, I guess. But I saw like 3 Vs too, or like the way you were explaining it. I just saw it like, you know, just these overlapping lines and the pattern of it. So that's wild.
Exactly. Yeah, the 2 Vs for that make up the W, then the little V at the top, like the 3 Vs. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there we go. There we go. Oh.
And you can't say, I mean, how can you say I lived my whole life and I didn't know what that was until just a few years ago when I saw the new logo? Well, what I thought was the new logo. So, yeah, that's, you know, that's not a memory thing for me. It's a having an epiphany of like, oh, yeah, you know. And you can't, like, misremember that.
No. These are actual things where we go back and we, you know, we remember in time, like back in our past, things where what we were doing at the time and things like that. Oh, look! I'll tell you another big one. The day I learned about Nelson Mandela, there was a lesson at school. Okay, here we go. Nelson Mandela. We were either having a lesson on the anniversary of his death or that he just passed away. It was around November, December in 1991 at school, or 1990. So 1991, that's right. But I remember the seat I was sitting in at school when I normally sat up the front, but because I was late to class for that day after lunch, I was in the back left-hand corner when I had the lesson about Nelson Mandela. So I actually remember, you know, because he said that it was a waste that he was in prison for 20 years and he died and he was such a great man, and my teacher had that point of view, and I'd never heard of Nelson Mandela until, you know, he taught about, until he told us then. So I was only 13, 14 when I had the lesson. So yeah.
And that's one of those big things a lot of people have with the Berenstain Bears is like they remember learning how to pronounce Steen or Stein. Just that whole whole conversation around the Stein and how, you know, that part of the last name is pronounced or can be pronounced. And then now that it's Stain, they're like, well, why did we have this long conversation about it if it's always been Berenstain? So, it's, you know, that's not a memory thing. There's so many little things like that, you know, you have these memory pegs, basically.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Do you know something? I see, I've seen a doctor on and off between now and then. I suppose we all have during our lives. Like I have chronic pain, and so I've seen a counsellor for it. But I never have brought up the Mandela effect because I know he's not that way in thinking, and he'd probably want to put me in a an institution.
Yeah.
I know. So it's like, wow, oh goodness me. But it just so really to my actual doctor who counselling in life, I can't be honest. That's amazing, isn't it? Like yeah, because he would think that's hallucin. He would think I'm hallucinating and thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I'm sorry, go on. Yep.
I was just going to say, stopped taking my ADHD medicine, so I never went back to my doctor once I realized the Mandela effect was happening. But, I don't think I would have brought it up either, because he would have probably prescribed me something different. But,
definitely. Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, there's no way. Oh.
I think they see. I think a lot of them see it and they avoid it. I've talked to professionals that just want to steer clear of the subject, or they sort of dodge the topic, and they and I don't bring it up,
Yeah, I don't blame them for dodging the topic, because they would get shunned in their community at this point, and they would probably get disbarred for encouraging that type of thing if it's not known as big now. It's been on television a couple of times. I don't watch TV very much at all, the news, but there was one in Australia saying people are having group false memories, like they weren't really. They were sort of calling us having, memories that had never happened. Here in Australia, they had a little news thing on television about it last year. So
yeah,
I was all ready to watch it and thought, this is exciting. And I thought, but they're never going to do it in our favor.
No, definitely not. They won't encourage it. They even showed people falling for it they had this one, I think it was out of the local Arizona Fox affiliate, where they covered the Mandela effect, and it was on a lot of different channels where they were showing all these people that were misremembering it, and then they just told them that they were misremembering it at the end, and that was sort of isn't that neat how you can forget something or misremember something, and that's how they end it. They don't really treat it like it's a real phenomenon, but there it is.
No, they don't. I was just thinking, if they really did get into it, they put all of us under lie detectors and asked us questions like, do you remember blah, blah, blah. We'd all be telling the truth, and we'd all be accessing memories in our brain. It could be, but they wouldn't go that far at this point in time to do that. It would scare people if percentage, like probably a few million of us. I wouldn't say a billion, maybe a seventh. I don't know. How many do you think? I mean, do you think there's about a seventh of the planet? Probably not that much. Like the 7 billion people, isn't there? Or is it? Yeah.
I honestly think that at least any. Assuming that everyone was real, let's just say that for a moment, because I know some people think that there's what they call empty seaters or NPCs or robot people or something. But let's assume everybody's real. I think there's something for everyone to see, at least any real person, whether they renege on it after a while or whatever. Because I've seen people that don't believe in it remember something the other way and then turn around and say, oh, well, I must be misremembering it. I thought it was that way. Or, I mean, you can sort of corner them. You can get people that admit things, but then they don't stick to it,
Yes.
So I've stopped kind of doing that. But, and early on, I wouldn't bring up the Mandela effect. I'd sort of see what people would remember, and they wouldn't remember it the way I originally remembered. And then I'd show them, and they're like, oh, I guess I was wrong, and kind of blow it off. Like, well, how could everybody on this specific change be wrong in the same exact way? Why does everyone remember it this way when it could have been? I mean, think about that line. Why was it the line in the VW logo? Why wasn't it that it was, I don't know, just different? Maybe it was a square before or something. People don't remember it that way. They remember it without the line,
Exactly. The changes are exact, aren't they? Yeah, exactly. Nobody could, we're all remembering exactly the same way. That's like no.
Like the lion and the lamb one is a good one, Why couldn't it have been a bear and a lamb at some point? And now it's wolf and lamb. But no, people remember lion and lamb. There's statues and paintings and all of this stuff to support that memory. So yeah, I think everyone could be convinced if they really took the time to look through and find something that they remember being one way. I just think people don't do it. So I don't know.
Yep. Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't fall for
and,
I don't go for the timeline thing like some people do. Like, you know, because it's so different. You know, it's not like everyone remembers the exact same thing. And then when you look at things like people posing next to the thinker statue, that doesn't support you jumping from another timeline into this one, because the people would have always been posed next to that statue the way it's always been in this timeline. So I don't really believe the timeline thing like some people, just because of what I feel is evidence against it, you know.
Yep, otherwise the residue wouldn't be there, would it, if it was a timeline thing?
Right, because it'd be like you got out of one train and got into the other one. Yeah, you know, it'd be like you got out of one train and got into another one, and maybe people from your train that got into the train would remember it too, but you wouldn't have the photos that changed. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's how.
Yep, exactly. Because it's that lady. We're all thinking that same picture of the lady who's doing the thinker bit, the thinker photograph, aren't we? There's this one photograph going around. Yeah. I see it. Yeah.
There's one with like 18 softball girls posing with their fist to their forehead next to the statue, and it's not, you know, and it's not that way anymore. So how do you explain that with the timeline jump, you know? But I'm open to everything, but that just seems to me that it's kind of pointing to something else happening.
Yeah, and I'm starting to wrap my head in why doesn't the photograph? Change. What I'm saying is we've got to start thinking scientifically about it, about why why the statue changes, but the people don't. Right. So it's like in all the different clues. That's one clue. So. Yeah. Can you imagine how crazy we'd look if we had a big board at home with all these strings going towards it? Like this photo matches those.
That's actually
a serial person.
Yeah, that one I've got on my Facebook page has that. I've got the little lines connecting it because I started realizing all these similarities in it. Right, so you've got Sally Beauty Supply, which used to be Sally's Beauty Supply. And then you connect that with Sally Field or Sally Fields, however you remember it. A lot of people remember that's changed. And she's the mom of Forrest Gump in the movie Forrest Gump. So there's all these connections, you know. And then that's Tom Hanks. So life was like a box of chocolates. Life is like a box of chocolates. That's connected to Houston. We've had a problem. Houston, we have a problem.
We've had a problem. Yes.
Yeah, had a problem or have a problem. And then. You know, that connects, the Toms connect up to, you know, Interview with the Vampire. And then you've got, the one you just mentioned earlier with the voice of Darth Vader is the actor.
Earl Jones.
Yeah.
James Earl Jones.
Yeah, and he played in the movie Field of Dreams, where we have, if you build it, they will come. If you build it, he will come. So there's all these connections. I've got all these lines drawn between, you know, changes that have had an S added to it, or, you know, changes that represent, you know, you have the one of the American Gothic painting where the woman is now looking to the left. And I just freaked my daughter out the other day. I was like, you know, the one with the guy holding the turkey leg or whatever, you know, it was right around Thanksgiving. She's like, yeah, I know that painting. I'm like, he's not holding a turkey leg anymore. She goes, no, are you kidding? I'm like, no, that painting is not, I don't know what he's holding, but the turkey leg's gone. So there's so many.
Are you talking about the Henry VIII one with the turkey leg?
Yeah.
I know. So your daughter believes too, doesn't she? Completely. I love her voice on your show. You know.
Thank you.
It's brilliant. So, she could do commercials so much, things like that. Yeah. Sorry to change the subject there, but I thought her voice was really, really good. Yeah, really good.
Thank you so much.
But you've got the drawing. I mean, So I thought about the strings. I haven't looked at your Facebook page, but I'm going to check it out because I am. Obviously can get in now, can't I?
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually the one I show in the intro at the beginning. I kind of move it along that picture that I did, but yeah, there's a lot of connections that can be made, and I was going to do it on a big wall behind me, but my wife already thought I was kind of losing it. The last thing I needed her to do is come and see this poster wall with all these connections and strings, and it would really look like I lost it. So I just did it in a digital file I could save and hide away.
Yeah, that's fun. See, you can hide things away in the digital world, yeah. Trouble is, it leaves proof, doesn't it? I mean, because, oh, boy.
But it doesn't look as crazy when you look like you're remodeling the room with Mandela effect changes on the wall, like you're some kind of detective trying to solve some crime, and you've got all these, up late, middle of the night, drinking coffee and staring at it. And
I know, you can't sleep. And the coming thing, this is someone's obsessing completely about this big shrine with the Mandela effect. I know. But we've got to do it like that, otherwise in our head we're just, I've got a couple of big boards. I might just turn them around and put them back in the cupboard. I've got some whiteboards and some cork boards. And, I have one where you can loosen the bolts on the end and flip it around when somebody comes in the room, and that'd
be
awesome,
regular chalkboard.
Oh my God, that's so obsessive, isn't it? I was thinking about that. It's not though.
So to be honest, if I had a printer, I probably would have done that. I just didn't have anything way to print things out, but there is a lot of connections to be made between them all, and like just with the word dream, I noticed like Dream On with Aerosmith and Field of Dreams, and just there's so many connections.
Sorry, you've gone. Sorry, I couldn't hear you then because I forgot to. Are you still there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, good. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Somebody obviously texted me a message and I forgot to turn that off. So
no
sorry, on my mobile phone. Yes.
Yeah, I was just talking about many with apostrophes or S's or, just little bitty changes that you almost don't like Sex in the City is one. If you say it really fast, you can't tell which one you're saying. It, Sex and the City, Sex in the City.
Sex in the City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people don't notice it, So
no. Oh yeah, that was one of the biggest ones for me too. Sex in the City, Sex and the City. It changed too. Yep. Oh, because when I first noticed the change was when the movie came out, Sex and the City. I thought it just changed for the movie. Right. And I said, "Oh, Gary, look, it's just changed for the movie." And he said, "No, it's always been Sex and the City on the thing. This is back when we were only teenagers then as well." So that's when that came out. So. Gary didn't become Mandela affected until a couple of years ago when it all come out. Oh, would you? Yes. Sorry. Yeah, Gary was asking me something else. Yeah, but sorry. Excuse me. Sex in the City. I always watched every single show. So it was definitely Sex in the City. Yeah. So. Yeah.
And that seems like it wouldn't be a big thing, but it's like a huge way that my brain thinks of it differently. Sex in the City and Sex and the City is, even though they sound similar, they're way different in the way I think about those two titles,
Yes, it means it means completely two different things, doesn't it? Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think what's that thing called retro causality when say you notice the changes and then it's like the past is catching up with the present. Have you sort of noticed that's sort of been going around too, like
or like something in the future? Like people say that things in the future, some big event in the future is what's causing this now. It just hasn't happened yet, and I think that's a legitimate way of thinking about it. Or like what you're saying, that something in the present now is changing things in the past, You can look at it multiple ways, this whole retro causality thing.
Yes, I mean, it does have to be, because if you think about everything that happens in the past, makes and models the future. So the future wouldn't be if it wasn't the past. So the future would change. So it has to be both ways. If you think about it, doesn't it? It does have to change both ways. So.
Well, one of the things in that one video I did that was really trying to objectively break down the whole Mandela effect was that when we look at the past, we're always looking at it from the present. So
yes, we are.
So I was really thinking about how, whether you pull out a picture, even if it was taken in the past, you're still observing it in the present. And it's really a mind trip, because even if you talk to someone, like you say, well, how do you remember that? They're still remembering it in the now. Even though they're remembering the past, it's still in the now moment. So when you really dig into it, it's really deep, because you start realizing that whether you're looking at a book or a picture or a video or anything, you're still observing the past from the point of view of right now.
From right now. Yeah, I know what you mean. So everything exists in the now.
Yeah.
There's nothing doesn't exist outside of now.
And it can be manipulated in the now,
In the now. That's right. Yeah, exactly. I've noticed that a lot of these things changes have happened. Like the Volkswagen, that's German, and there's a lot of things that have happened that. And the World War II things, history's changed, like Hitler with the blue eyes, and a couple of history things have changed. So they've said, like on the internet, like through the channels. So, and I've noticed a lot of the. So once we find something in the present's changed that's German or something, then I wonder if we'll wake up one day and then everything. Like World War II may have been changed. Like it may,
Totally.
That would be a trip, wouldn't it?
It may have already changed, and we don't even realize it.
And we've just got to catch up with it. Yeah. And we're the only ones that will remember. How freaky would that be? If we said, but we won the war. And then they'll say, no, we didn't. It's like, oh my God. Oh, yeah.
Did you ever watch that show Sliders?
I did years ago. Yes, we loved that. Yes.
I think that's why a lot of
clearly.
Yeah, right. I think that's why a lot of people feel like the multiple timeline thing, because you think of a show like that, where they, went through a wormhole and they come out into a reality where I think the Germans had won the war and everybody in America was speaking German, and there was like all these people that needed work, and it's like, oh my God, where have we arrived, and so that's what it seems like. I totally get the multiple timeline thing. I don't blame anyone for kind of going for that. It's just a few little clues has led me to believe that
it's not.
It's not. It's like one reality that's getting manipulated. It seems like to me.
Yes.
But Sliders and stuff like that, where they go and they hadn't discovered penicillin, for instance, and then the guy saves the day because he figures out how to take mold and make penicillin out of it.
That's right.
And he saves that current reality that they jumped into, and then they go back home or whatever. So I love that show. It was kind of cheesy, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that show too. Did you? I mean, I know it's different, but did you like Stargate as well? Did you ever watch Stargate?
I watched it a little bit, not enough to know it really well.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah, I love that one too. Just saying, yeah. But no, just going from like we say with timelines. No, it is definitely not just one with jumping timelines. Otherwise, it would be a complete change. We wouldn't have any of the residue, except for people's memories, of course. Well, what do you think about that? We've got a few different timelines all crossing over, like Hera said about the Vesicus Pisces, like three circles, like 3S. Exist, and they were crossing through each other, so that's why the same things exist at the same time. But sort of like, I'll have to actually draw it up and perhaps email it to you exactly what I mean, and then perhaps you could put it up on the board and put it on one of your shows if you think it's worthy of it.
Well, that's funny you said that, because people talk about like merging timelines. And, I thought about Dolores Cannon talking about two Earths pulling apart. And I'm like, well, you know what? I can see it as merging timelines, but I can also see it as timelines pulling off into two, because that would make that picture make sense to me, where you've got the pictures changed, and now we can see two different realities within one picture, where it used to be one reality, but now we see two. So that sounds like a splitting apart of realities rather than a merging of timelines.
Yes.
And that's kind of the Vesca Pisces thing you're talking about.
That's right. So so some people are in the middle bit, and then some people are on outside the vesicular Pisces. But then if they're going through each other, then they'll at one point that they will, the two Earths will overlap and everybody be on the same level, I think, and then it'll just go through. Do you know if you know what I mean? Like, whoops. yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and if you think about it, because you've got the top, when they start to merge, there's just a small vesicular Pisces thing, and so up the top there's another little shape where, so there's like, what I mean is there'll be about 6 or 8 different sections of reality to the same reality. Just
like the Olympic
hard
emblem.
To explain.
Well, more overlapping, I guess, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. Oh, we sound so crazy.
It's great though that we can sound crazy, and I see Kate. She's like, that's a great theory, or that's a good theory. So it's like, we're in great company.
That's Kate Wright, isn't it? Kate Wright.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. Hello. Yeah.
It's fun thinking about this stuff. I try not to get too stuck on it because I don't want people to come along and that don't see it and kind of get pushed away, because I don't think it's that important to pick it up right away. I don't.
No.
Or to sort of try to divide, or just have another reason to divide, like some other theories going around. It seems people want to divide over it. Well, if you don't believe like that, then
Yeah.
We have enough division.
Yeah.
As it is.
We do, don't we? We don't. Yeah. There's no divide. We don't want to divide in our sort of community. That would be crazy. No. And Unbiased on the Fence is brilliant, because that's what. Because you decided to do the channel before you knew about the Mandela effect, didn't you? So you're already you're so
weird.
Aware, Shane.
And the logo with the Vesica Pisces that we were just talking about, and the eye in between.
Yes.
Like you've got memories of both realities. I don't know how many Mandela effects. I'm like, I remember it both ways for some reason, And that's where my eye is on my logo, is in between the two Vesica, and they call it the mandorla, the almond shape where they overlap. And
that's right.
So it's really neat, because I created all of that intuitively, just off the top of my head, and I feel like it was inspired, because what came right after that, it seemed so, I don't know, it seemed like I got the cart before the horse. It seems as if
It definitely. You definitely were getting some download, like from subconscious level. Definitely, you meant to be, and I can't believe that, you went to Sedona. I've always wanted to go there, because Bentino Massaro, he lives there. Have you heard of him, Bentino Massaro?
It sounds a little familiar.
I think he teaches from there. Has a lot of he's a sort of like he teaches like all different things about shifting realities and creating your own reality and all that type of thing. Like you can manifest anything. Anything is possible. So, if we all get together, like the 8 of 8, like that type of thing. The how we do that meditation on Saturdays, the 8 of 8.
Mm-hmm.
He does big group ones, and like you can change things in reality, and he's always believed that. So he's always believed anything's possible.
Yeah, he does look familiar. I just looked up his picture. He does seem familiar.
Yeah. He started teaching online when he was about 23. So I found him after Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle, have you heard of Eckhart Tolle as well?
Mm-hmm.
So Eckhart Tolle, So I sort of got into all of that before I found out about the Mandela effect as well. So
I like Eckhart. He's very enjoyable to listen to. Very smart guy.
Yes. And his voice is so much like Morgan Freeman's. You can sort of listen to it and go to sleep to it. It's just so pleasant and beautiful, and So,
totally.
Now, have you got other people wanting to ring in at the moment?
I should check, shouldn't I? I see a 210. there's no hand up. If you do want to talk, hit *2, and I can go to you. Let me see what time it is here. Yeah, we got about 20 minutes left. So
right.
What time is it? What time is it there in Australia for you?
Okay, it's
Saturday?
exactly. Yep, Saturday, 13:38, 1:39 now. 1:39.
Oh, nice.
Actually, my watch is a little bit off. Yeah, 13:38. Yep.
That's wild. Yeah.
So for you
that.
there, is that 9:38 for you or 10:38?
Nope.
9:38.
Yep. It just turned 9:40 here for me.
Yep, 9:40.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh.
Well, that's wonderful.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, do you know something? All the watches are different. My phone says 13:38. My Fitbit says 13:39, and you've changed to 9:40. So there's something about the clocks in the world. They're not all matching up at the moment. Or the
No, that's strange because my computer and phones are all telling me it just turned 9:41 on all my phones and my computer. So yeah, I think we tap into a. I think they all set automatically on my computer and on my phone with whatever system it taps into. So.
Yes, yeah. I've got to reset mine. That's all it is. Yeah. I haven't lined it up. yeah.
Like a universal time or something that it taps into.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's awesome.
Yes.
Well, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I appreciate your husband Gary chiming in this time. That was cool.
Oh, bless! Thank you. I'll let him know as well. Yeah, it's really good. I'm so pleased that he is Mandela affected. Oh, it would be terrible if he wasn't.
Yeah.
Now, I would say that wouldn't. And if he ever changes on you, I'll say you're not the Gary I married. we keep checking in. We say, Luke, I am your father. Like we keep joking like that, just to make sure we're still the same.
On the same timeline. That's funny.
Yeah. Oh, because I've actually I talk to people, like online as well, and some people have noticed massive differences with their family members, like their hair color changing and all sorts of things. I mean, really big things. And they've gone, oh wow, look, I won't mention names or anything. I just do a scenario like the hair color's changed or the length of their hair's changed or something like that. I've heard, I mean, and these people. I absolutely 100% believe, because I've been talking one-on-one, and it's like, wow, what a shock. Could you imagine seeing your family member and just going in, your daughter's hair's changed, like just the little thing, it'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Like, yeah.
You're like, oh, you did something with your hair. You're like, no, I didn't. And I was like, whoa, that would be weird. I have had people change just their personality has shifted, like friends that were always jokey and stuff are so serious now, and we don't even match up as friends really anymore. It's not like I don't want to be friends with them. It's just like they're not the same person anymore, and
yes.
So that's strange enough, but I can't imagine, like that movie, The Butterfly Effect, how things kept changing. And like the girlfriend, he goes back after he makes a change and she's like, on crack or something, and she looked real skinny and drugged out. And it's like, oh my God, what the heck? Just in an instant, her life changed from him trying to fix something in the past or whatever. So, yeah.
And he goes, I can go back and fix this, didn't he? Because she was a waitress, I remember.
Yeah.
And she's going, what?
Yeah, and he kept making things worse, and it's like, stop before you ruin everything.
Yeah.
That was a good movie.
It was, and he just wasn't meant to be born. But that it just goes to show how much impact each and every one of us have on people's lives that we don't realise at that time. We can go through our whole lives and not realise we changed somebody's life for the better or worse, and we didn't know. So all we can do is, if we put our best intentions out with love, that's all we can do. Like say, what I'm going to do today, I do with love, and everybody's going to benefit from it, and nobody comes to any harm, from what I do. So so anyway, so it was really nice to speak to you again, Shay.
Oh yeah, wonderful talking to you too. Lots of love to you and your husband, and don't be a stranger. Check back in with us.
No, I will. I know it's been a while. But I've had a few things going on at the moment. I have. I've had actually somebody's changed in my family. I've had a bit of a problem. So yeah,
Oh, no.
so I've had a bit of a breakup with one of my family members. Yeah, they have changed. It's my mum actually. So
Oh, no.
we're separating. Yeah, I know.
Well, I'm
It's,
sorry to hear that. Maybe things will shift back, though, you know? You keep a
I'm
positive look at
hoping
it.
so.
Yeah.
I'm hoping so. Yeah, I don't want to leave, so I don't. She's just not the same. So yeah. She doesn't like me anymore. So it's like,
that's
whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, she loves me, but doesn't like me. It's different. Yeah, anyway, but yeah. Anyway,
Well,
I'll talk about them
people,
another time.
we just don't give up on them. Keep loving them, and maybe they'll come around. That's how I view it. You know, just try to keep the positivity going, and maybe they'll see what
Yes.
you have and want some of it. You know.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Because it tends to infuriate somebody the more love I actually put out. So, and then they might just come back the other way. Like,
Yeah.
hopefully, do you know? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Because I don't react. I haven't yelled back. Like I just.
Yeah.
That makes them more angry.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
And you never know.
yeah.
You know, love is powerful. So if you just keep loving them, you have no idea what it's doing, you know, after you part ways and they're thinking about it. And maybe they'll come to their senses, you know.
Yes, I completely have faith. Actually, love is the most powerful thing in the world. Without love, there'd be no point in being alive. If there wasn't love, that's all.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yep, love is
Yep.
what it's all about, for sure.
It is absolutely everything. Yep. Okay.
Well,
Thank you, Shane.
lots of love to you,
you.
Nicola.
Love and light to you too, Shane, and your wife and your family, and everybody here listening to us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, bye, Shane.
Alrighty, bye-bye
I'll
now.
talk to you soon.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Do.
Let's go.
You're listening to The Love Street.
Unbiased and on the fence.
Going back to the phone lines. Let's see. If you want to talk, star 2 on your dial pad. No one in the... There we go. Somebody just raised their hand. Let me see. Is my mic on? Oh, okay. Looked like my mic was off. Okay, 210. You are live. Who am I talking to?
Hello. Oh, this is our universal consciousness. Finally.
Oh, you made it in, man. It was some hurdles to jump through.
It was like literally I had like 4 devices. I was trying to get onto YouTube just so I could like still listen to what you were saying. And none of my devices can even access YouTube, or like 2 of them were broken. I couldn't find the one that actually worked, and then everything else, like there was something going on where it wasn't letting anything happen. Like nothing was. The phone works, but for some reason throughout the whole time you were talking, I wasn't able to call in except for the last, like right now. So yeah, it's kind of frustrating. It was really frustrating. I was like, why? What? Who's doing this? Someone really doesn't want me to talk to you right now. It was like everything was against me for the whole time I was listening. I was trying to figure out what the hell was going on. But yeah, I'm sorry to come in like that. That's how I definitely did not want to come in, all a little frustrated.
Oh, it's all right. You made it,
But,
though, man, so it's all good. You're actually my first caller ever, I just realized.
That's cool. That's cool because before, if you realize, too, literally we all started kind of doing these call-in shows, too, around the same time, if you realize. And I think that's a good thing. That's a part of the gathering thing. But hey, I wanted to start off this conversation by saying, and I didn't get to, but I want to start off by saying before time ends, I wrote this song down that I feel like it was kind of given to me, these words, and like on my birthday, and I wanted to share them with everybody and then talk about it a little bit.
Sure.
Okay, so it's like you could find it. It's on my SoundCloud, but I'm not gonna link it or anything. It's just basically one part of in the middle of the song. It goes, "If he is the Alpha and the Omega, and we are all one, then why can we barely remember where we came from?" And that's a verse in a song, and I've been wanting to talk about that because everybody tries to talk about like the things they remember and the way things are, but in reality, we are more than what we are now. We're so much more, and we don't remember it. And there's some people who I feel like they do remember like who they really are, and it's like everything, it's everything. And to be told that you're everything, but then to remember and to experience it, that's a whole different thing. And that's it. I just feel like I wanted to talk about that somehow. Like everyone's getting all like, well, not anymore, because I feel like definitely yes, the Mandela community is definitely on the right track, but I don't even like calling it that, the Mandela, because I feel like that's part of something that is just made, because when you were talking about the non-player characters,
yeah,
and how and there is a divide, and I do agree. I remember last time I was on, I was like, we need to unite more. We need to unite and come together, because everyone's in their own circles and they're doing their own things and no one wants to connect. And I agree, that's true, for sure. But
I'm trying to remember where you are
I do feel like
in your videos. I remember seeing you in a city or something, but are you in New York or in California, or where was it?
San Antonio. It was San Antonio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's see, how far is that from Austin? You should
dude,
meet up with the group in Austin. That'd
That's
be
not
awesome.
far.
Yeah.
There's an Austin group?
Yeah, we're meeting up New Year's.
For
New Year's in Austin. Like, we're going to meditate the New Year in and just hang out, get to know each other, and just, really it's just a get-together, just to hang out. Some people are healers, some people do other types of gifts and things like that, but it's just mainly to get to know people in person and to make that in-person connection,
When is it again?
It's going to be in Austin. It's going to be New Year's Eve and New Year's, but also the Saturday and Sunday. See, New Year's Eve is Monday, so it's going to be Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Well, it sounds crazy cool. Yeah, dude, I would definitely go. I was going to go to the first Mandela conference, but it was all the way, in the, northwest, northeast. It was, in the northeast.
Oh, Vanessa VA's? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and that reminds me, Vanessa VA, she was, that's what I wanted to talk about. She just put out a video,
mm-hmm.
and she was talking about
NPCs and stuff.
About the AI technology. Yeah, the NPCs and how, and I do feel like it's kind of true. Like, I do agree. Like that was what we were all fighting about. Like, we were like, is this man-made, or is this God-made? And I feel like it's kind of both. Like, that's what I was saying before. The best
it could be a mixture.
Is the half truth. Like, like the government sees that God, or not the government, but the powers that be, because I said it before, this is spiritual war,
mm-hmm.
knows that there's these cycles that have to occur, and so they're going to try to take advantage of that and manipulate the ignorant. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, we already know the eclipse is going to happen. Let's just say we made it happen, and the ignorant people are going to believe it.
Right.
Like people that don't know anything about cycles, and this is what's going on. It's like a big old cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, dude, I really want to talk to you. Like, I want to have a conversation, because I feel like right now it's more of a lecture, like a speech kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's been going on with you lately, or like what do you think about the whole? Because I was thinking the NPCs. I think it might. It had, I don't know. I feel like she's onto something. Now that I'm here, I get too excited to do that. I feel like there's certain people that I feel the energy,
mm-hmm.
that it's like going to a meeting, like we're going to a meeting or something.
Yeah.
Some people, they're not even in I've been here for 3 years watching people talk about it, and there's some who are just like trending, just for the trend.
Yeah.
And I thought they were really going for it, but I feel like, I definitely want to go to that thing. You should give me more information, and I feel like being there in person would be better, because right now I don't know what it is about just being around like being around people when it comes to like observation wise. I don't know. It freaks me out. It kind of gets me nervous a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think I'd do a lot better in person, just talking face to face.
Yeah.
But oh man.
And just putting a face with.
Do you want to ask
name.
me anything before I go?
Well.
Yeah. True.
I did want to comment on the idea of the NPC, and that's why I did a video on it a while back. I actually pulled it off because I had some stuff on there that I thought I went back and cleaned house a little bit because I noticed a lot of channels were getting pulled from older content, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to pull any kind of questionable content because it really nobody's really watching it. It's just sort of hanging back there as an excuse to take my channel down, you know what I mean? So I went back and I pulled some stuff down.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the whole idea of NPCs, I think the danger with that is that people will begin to view people as less than people. So I always think of them as secret shoppers, you know. They're here to try to trigger you, to get you off course or whatever, but you just still love them through it and, you know, treat them like you would, you know, your best friend or whatever. And, you know, if they're real, great. If they're not, because there's so many views on it, you know, that you can view it as there's NPCs like they're just ran by the Matrix and maybe they aren't real people or whatever. But then there's another theory where, you know, like people that I've seen that's changed, maybe their consciousness was removed out of their body and they're sort of an NPC right now. Their body's getting ran by the Matrix just at this moment, but maybe at some time they're going to get put back in their body again.
Yeah, the same thing with us.
Yeah, there's just no telling. So I think...
Right, the same thing with us. We could be...
Yeah. So there's no telling, man. I think, you know, we just treat everybody with love and, you know, if they're real, great. If they're not, great. I'm just on the fence with everything because I just don't know, you know what I mean? And I think the main thing is that we love people and we don't want to push people away and think that they're not real and then do something to push them away even further. But yeah, I agree. It does seem like there's some people that are just totally ran by the Matrix, but I feel like I was like that before. So... And I came around, so I feel like, you know, some of these people that seem like NPCs might eventually come around. NPCs are non-player characters for anybody that's like, what are NPCs? But yeah, they're in a video game. When you get into the game, it's you playing inside this game world, and you've got like, you know, just the people driving around in the city and stuff like that. And those are all NPCs. They just make the world seem like it's full of people, but they're really not individuals. So that's the idea of it for anybody that doesn't know. But yeah, so I would definitely, if you can shoot me an email, you and anybody else listening that you're near Austin or you can get to Austin for even one of the days, or if you just want to come out on New Year's Eve for the bonfire and like a group meditation as we meditate in the new year, and we're gonna, you know, I don't know, maybe have drum circles and music and stuff like that and just hang out. It's really a relaxed, laid back thing. It's not like, you know, it's not like a conference or anything where we have set speakers and stuff like that. But basically we're just hanging out, getting to know each other. And so shoot me an email. You can find my email address on the website, which is actually linked in the description at the bottom. It's uotf.net. If you go there and go to contact, you can send me an email, and in the subject put Austin, and I will make sure that I add that email to the email list of people wanting to go to Austin so you can get all the information, because it is going to be at people's house, so we're not just like publishing that information out there for anybody to find and show up. It's only people that let me know that you're wanting to go, and then, but it will be in Austin from that Saturday to that Tuesday. I guess that would be the 30th through the 1st of 30th of December through the 1st of January, 2019. And yeah, the same way with you, Stephen. If you can shoot me an email, I'll make sure that, because San Antonio, I want to say that's like the next big city over, isn't it, from Austin? Isn't it like maybe an hour drive or something? Whoops, did I lose you? I can't hear you anymore. If you can hear me, it looks like we're still connected though. Let me look at the map here. I could have swore San Antonio was pretty close though. Was that, Nope. I see the call just dropped. Well, at least I got to talk to you for a minute. But yeah, if you can shoot me an email. Let's see, there's Dallas. I need to zoom out a little bit. Plano, Texas. Who knows? But yeah, it can't be that far. It's in the state, so I want to say it was. Oh, there's Tyler, Texas. That's where they say the AI was born, Tyler. But yeah, I think it's going to be a fun time, and like I said, you don't have to come out for all 4 days. You can just come out one of the days if you want, and it'll be a good time of just hanging out, getting to know people, and making that connection that when we leave and go our separate ways, we are connected back as one. Let me look in the chat, make sure I'm not missing anything here. Oh, is there any way to be able to tell the difference between NPCs and real people? I don't know, because I just don't know if people just aren't quite awake. You know, people get stuck in their daily grind. That's where I was. I was sort of just trying to pay bills, trying to go to work, trying to get ahead in life, you know, and sometimes you don't want to be distracted from that. And I've always been a truth seeker, so I've always sort of been part of something in my free time, art and music and looking into things and stuff like that. But for the most part, I did spend a lot of time just keeping my head to the grinding, my nose to the grinding stone, as they say, just working and trying to pay bills and all that. And I know people are sometimes there. And when I heard about the Mandela effect, that's what I was just trying to pay my bills and going to work. And I considered it and I looked into it, but I just didn't really see it until I experienced it for myself. So, and I've mentioned this before. I had somebody, because I was driving for Uber for a while, and I had one of my, the people get in the car, there was 3 of them, and one of them was talking about the Mandela effect, and I was like, oh yeah, with the Fruit Loops and the Looney Tunes changing, and then she got so excited in the backseat. She's like, yeah, you see it? And stuff. I'm like, yeah, I've looked into that, you know, and I seemed like one of those people that sort of saw it, but then it was no big deal, because I really didn't get it at the time. So I understand people that seem like they see it, but they're not getting it, because you really have to have that one big thing that you know for a fact has changed that gets you over the hump before you even understand why people look crazy talking about this and people get so excited talking about it. And I was there for a year, so I'm real patient with people like that, because I'm like, oh, that was me. I was like that for a year. I saw it, but I didn't really see it. I just didn't really believe it was happening, you know? So, yeah, I think that's a good point, April. You'll know them by their fruits. And, you know, but people change, you know. I never was really doing anything bad. I was just working, staying busy, you know. So our universal consciousness, thank you, Stephen, for calling in. And I'm going to wrap this up. We were just about hitting the 3-hour mark. So yeah, I will be back tomorrow with Eileen for the Power of 888. I sure hope you guys can join us. Lots of love to everybody. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.
If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.